Good evening. Mm, I was a little delayed. There was someone who desperately wanted my attention before I did this today. I woke up and he had a new wound on his head from fighting. And when I went into my office, he wanted so desperately for the window to be open right before this stream. It's not very conducive to do ASMR with the window open. All you would be able to hear then would be cicadas and crickets and noises outside, and the pouring rain too. But instead, I've managed to wrangle my feline friend up onto the desk with me, so he's actually right now like not curled up, lying out between me and the keyboard, and just he's resting his head on my arm. But he is extremely malleable. It's kind of just like full pet belly time. I can do whatever, and he won't care. I could probably stick my face in there and I probably wouldn't come out with any scratches from it. Probably. Let me do a real quick test. Let me do a really quick test. Mm-hmm. It's safe. It's a safe valley right now. It's fine. He does. He just gave me the look with only his eyes. Oh, okay. But he's showing me the chin, so everything's fine. Everything's fine. But we're not here to talk about my cats, are we? We're not. Although he certainly is making it hard to think of much else right now. Um, so, let's see. It's autumn, right? And September is almost over. It's passed a lot more quickly than I really thought it would. Mm. Normally they say, well, I guess time slows when you're doing things that are unique, that are novel. So it's kind of about, did I really not do anything that interesting this month? That must be it. That's why it's gone so quickly. That must be it. There are some things that I think were very exciting that I've done, but it's all in the realm of video games, isn't it? Mostly. But next Saturday is going to be the Havoc Festival. That is going to be run by one Dr. Conrad. Let me shout that out. Pretty sure I'm going to spell this right. He's not doing anything right now, right? Cat. And okay, it's not working. Twitch's API servers are having trouble. I'm pretty certain that's the correct name. But he's running a Pathfinder 1E multiplayer, or I shouldn't say multiplayer, I should say PvP one shot that I am going to be a part of. So I need to catch up on the rules. So I'm going to be skipping over the classes that remain right now, and I'm going to be skipping on through the rulebook to things I think are going to be a little bit more important for. I don't mean to say my character, but more important for this sort of game. So we are going to be. Let's see. So last time we read about the cleric, and no, we read the druid. We only read the druid. So we've gone through the classes barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, and fighter. So I'm going to be skipping over the monk, paladin, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, and wizard for now. And I don't have to worry about character advancement because my character, well, let's say it's a PvP scenario. if I'm lucky, if I come out on top, I would theoretically have to worry about advancement, but It's no, no, I won't because it's a one shot. So that sort of dichotomy. Mm, so cute right now. He's not actually purring, which I feel like, well, he must not be enjoying it, but he's still here and he's still taking the rubs. So I must mean I'm doing something right. He's, he's not actually. Oh, hello. Hello, Tatali. Or Taito. Taito. There's something I want to. There's something I came up with. I want to send it to you, but first I have to make it. First I have to make it. Mm. And that reminds me, I also have to. I have to draw a. I think. Well, I don't know if I have to, but I should make a character portrait for my character for Saturday. So I think I'm going to be doing a lot of drawing the next few days. A lot of drawing. Mm, mm. I initially wanted to get something quick sketched done, but I think with the character concept that I came up with, I should be able to pop out like a little portrait or something on my own, and hopefully it won't be too bad. I do have some art skills, but they're quite rusty, and I my tablet. Well, I shouldn't say my one tablet. I have a few tablet sources, I suppose, and I'm not used to drawing with some of them. I'm used to drawing with others, and I want to say whenever I drew people, I tended to draw them very squat. Uh, I think mm, I didn't for a lot of I guess I want to say modern interpretations of people. They tend to elongate limbs and such, and I I did not. I I want to say with the advent of like technology without having to sketch on actual paper, it's been really nice because if I like something that I drew but I just want to make it adjust proportions a bit, it's quite a bit easier than it used to be where like I have to erase everything and work around it again. Mm, mm. Let's see. Okay, let me turn on the background. Let's start up. Let's move to the library. Let's move to the library. Maybe something like this. Okay. So, Pathfinder 1E, we are going to read about skills. Skills represent some of the most basic and yet most fundamental abilities your character possesses. As your character advances in level, he can gain new skills and improve his existing skills dramatically. Acquiring skills. Each level, your character gains a number of skill ranks dependent upon your class, plus your intelligence modifier. Investing a rank in a skill represents a measure of training in that skill. You can never have more ranks in a skill than your total number of hit dice. In addition, each class has a number of favored skills called class skills. It is easier for your character to become more proficient in these skills, as they represent a part of his professional training and constant practice. You gain a plus 3 bonus on all class skills you put ranks into. Huh. I I didn't know that. If you have more than one class and both grant you a class skill bonus, these bonuses do not stack. So more so, I wonder if that's already accounted for in the character sheet that I made. It probably is. It probably is, but I'm not 100% certain. That's something to check. Actually, let me grab up that sheet. Where did I put it? 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 Okay. He's resting his head on my hand now. This is going to make it so much more difficult. Okay. So, no one's going to be surprised if the rogue has. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. It's a good one here. No one's going to be surprised if the rogue has a. Wait, that's weird. Okay. Just looking like, wait, why is this skill associated with this particular stat? That's strange. But I suppose that's designer's choice. Okay. No one's going to be surprised if the rogue has acrobatics. So, okay, it is calculated because it's the ranks and ability modifiers are equaling to the total bonus minus 3. Or, like, plus 3. Plus 3. Math. Math, math, math. Okay. Table. Skill ranks. Okay. Class Barbarian. They get 4 plus int mod. Bard gets 6 plus int mod. Cleric gets 2 plus int mod. Druid gets 4 plus int mod. Fighter gets 2 plus int mod. Monk gets 4 plus int mod. Paladin gets 2 plus int mod. Ranger gets 6 plus int mod. Rogue gets 8 plus int mod. Sorcerer gets 2 plus int mod. And Wizard gets 2 plus int mod. The number of skill ranks you gain when taking a level in one of the base classes is shown on table skill ranks. Humans gain 1 additional skill rank per class level. Characters who take a level in a favored class have the option of gaining 1 additional skill rank or an additional hit point. If you select a level in a new class, all of its class skills are automatically added to your list of class skills, and you gain a 3+3 bonus on these skills if you have ranks in them. Skill checks. When your character uses a skill, he isn't guaranteed success. In order to determine success, whenever you attempt to use a skill, you must make a skill check. Each skilled rank grants a +1 bonus on checks made using that skill. When you make a skill check, you roll 1d20 and then add your rank's an appropriate ability score modifier to the results of this check. If the skill you're using is a class skill, and you have invested ranks into that skill, you gain a +3 bonus on that check. If you are not trained in the skill, and if the skill may be used untrained, you may still attempt the skill, but you use only the bonus or penalty provided by the associated ability score modifier to modify the check. Skills can be further modified by a wide variety of sources: by your race, by a class ability, by equipment, by spell effects or magical items, and so on. See table skill check bonuses for a summary of skill check bonuses. So now we have another table. Table skill check bonuses. Skill untrained. The skill check is equal to 1d20 plus a ability modifier plus racial modifier. Untrained, the skill check is equal to 1d20 plus skill ranks plus ability modifier plus racial modifier. Trained class skill, the skill check is equal to 1d20 plus skill ranks plus ability modifier plus racial modifier plus 3. There is an armor check penalty that applies to all strength and dexterity based skill checks. If the result of your skill check is equal to or greater than the difficulty class, or DC, of the task you are attempting to accomplish, you succeed. Oh, we are not in an alien nightclub. Oh no, there's a creepy noise. Oh, oh, no, I'm getting groomed. Getting groomed. He's moved on to his beans. Oh no, back to me. Ah, okay. Is the cat, my cat, my companion here, is awake and he wants more attention. Okay. So we're looking at if the result of your skill check is equal to or greater than the difficulty class, or DC, of the task you are attempting to accomplish, you succeed. If it is less than the DC, you fail. Some tasks have varying levels of success and failure depending on how much your check is above or below the required DC. Some skill checks are opposed by the target skill check. When making an opposed skill check, the attempt is successful if your check result exceeds the result of the target. Taking 10 and taking 20. A skill check represents an attempt to accomplish some goal, usually while under some sort of time pressure or distraction. Sometimes, though, a character can use a skill under more favorable conditions, increasing the odds of success. Taking 10. When your character is not in immediate danger or distracted, you may choose to take 10. Instead of rolling 1d20 for the skill check, calculate your result as if you had rolled a 10. For many routine tasks, taking 10 makes them automatically successful. Distractions or threats, such as combat, make it impossible for a character to take 10. In most cases, taking 10 is purely a safety measure. You know or expect that an average roll will succeed, but fear that a poor roll might fail. So you elect to settle for the average roll, a 10. Taking 10 is especially useful in situations where a particularly high roll wouldn't help. So he just adjusted again, and he's curled up in my arms once more. Except this time it's much more like enveloping, I suppose. And there's sometimes when I'm able to do with him a really cute trick. Trick is probably the wrong word, but if it's particularly cold, I might have a blanket over my shoulders or a shawl. Shawl is probably more likely. And he will actually crawl under the shawl, like so, sitting on the desk under the shawl with me. Very, very cute. And just kind of but how can you breathe under there? How can you breathe under there? But he's taking up my arm. Taking 20. When you have plenty of time, you are faced with no threats or distractions, and the skill being attempted carries no penalties for failure, you can take 20. In other words, if you roll a d20 enough times, eventually you will get to 20. Instead of rolling 1d20 for the skill check, just calculate your result as if you had rolled a 20. Taking 20 means that you are trying until you get it right, and it assumes that you fail many times before succeeding. Taking 20 takes 20 times as long as making a single check would take. Usually 2 minutes for a skill that takes 1 round or less to perform. Since taking 20 assumes that your character will fail many times before succeeding, your character would automatically incur any penalties for failure before he or she could complete the task. Hence, why it is generally not allowed with skills that carry such penalties. Common Take 20 skills include Disabled Device, when used to open locks, Escape Artist, and Perception, when attempting to find traps. Ability checks and caster level checks. The normal Take 10 and Take 20 rules apply for ability checks. Neither rule applies to concentration checks or caster level checks. I do remember caster level checks. I remember hating them. But then again, it was an unusual situation I was playing in when I had to deal with them. Wow. Let's see. Aid another. You can help someone achieve success on a skill check by making the same kind of skill check in a cooperative effort. If you roll a 10 or higher on your check, The character you're helping gets a +2 bonus on his or her check. You can't take 10 on a skill check to aid another. In many cases, a character's help won't be beneficial, or only a limited number of characters can help at once. In cases where the skill restricts who can achieve certain results, such as trying to open a lock using disabled device, you can't aid another to grant a bonus to a task that your character couldn't achieve alone. The GM might impose further restrictions to aiding another on a case by case basis as well. Okay. This cat. He's tickling. He's tickling. What am I to do? What am I to do? Okay. Skill descriptions. Oh, there's a lot of skill descriptions. Okay. You see cat photos? I've posted on Twitter one cat photo, but that was for Contessa. This one. This one. I really do need to get a photo that I can just kind of place in the corner to show, like, ah, yes, I am with Cat right now. So, excuses for any potential issues or like mic knockings. Mm-hmm. I should. I should arrange for that. But it's kind of a case of, oh, what kind of photo? What kind of photo? A derpy photo? A cute photo? It would be nice to take a photo of him in the garden, but that's never going to happen. Cute cat photos are always appreciated. Mm-mm. Well, first, I have to actually get a cute cat photo of him, because there's often times where he'll do something and it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Very well. Maybe not scrunch, but he likes leaning his head in places that are wow, super super dumb. And he also really likes, like right now, he's curled up in my arms, and it's very awkward to get a photo of it because, like, my view. Well, I want to say the photo can't really capture the warmth, and I can't really take a photo of myself like this. Like I can't really reach my arm out to get a good view, and that would be disturbing to him. And we don't want that. We don't want that. I wanted to say, I don't think a Hansel animal is a rogue skill. Mm-mm. Okay. Skill descriptions. This section describes each skill, including common uses and typical modifiers. Characters can sometimes use skills for purposes other than those noted here, at the GM's discretion. For a complete summary of all the skills, see table, skill summary. Skill, acrobatics. So the skill, acrobatics, is a class skill for barbarian, bard, monk, and rogue. You can use it untrained, and the ability is dex. But an armor check penalty applies. Appraise is a class skill for the bard, cleric, rogue, sorcerer, and wizard. That you can use it untrained, and its ability is int. Bluff is a class skill for bard, rogue, and sorcerer, and you can use it untrained, and its ability is charisma. Climb is a class skill for barbarian, bard, druid, fighter, monk, rogue, and sorcerer. Oh wait, no, not sorcerer. Climb is for ranger and rogue. Did I like dip? Okay, I didn't dip. You can use it untrained, and its ability is strength, but an armor check penalty applies. Craft is a class skill for everyone. Like, legit, everyone can get it. You can use it untrained, and its ability is int. Diplomacy is a class skill for the bard, cleric, paladin, and rogue. You can use it untrained, and its ability is charisma. Disabled device is a class skill only for the rogue. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability is Dex, but there is an armor check penalty that applies. Disguise is a class skill for the bard and the rogue. You can use it untrained, and the ability is Charisma. Escape Artist is a class skill for the bard, monk, and rogue. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is Dex, but an armor check penalty applies. Fly is a class skill for the druid, sorcerer, and wizard. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is Dex, but an armor check penalty applies. Handle Animal is a class skill for the barbarian, the druid, the fighter, the paladin, and the ranger. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is Charisma. Heal is a class skill for the cleric, the druid, the paladin, and the ranger. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is Wisdom. Intimidate is a class skill for the barbarian, the bard, the fighter, the monk, the ranger, the rogue, and the sorcerer. The sorcerer really gets Intimidate? And you can use it untrained, and the ability associated is Charisma. I'm going to take, it's kind of I want to take a sip, but at the same time, I'm left-handed, and my cat is on my left hand, like my left arm. So if I want my drink, I have to reach over him to grab it and move it, or I have to disengage from the cat. I have to disengage. Wow, okay. I actually have a hot drink and a cold drink, and I really want the hot drink, but I also don't want to move that over him, so I'm going to settle. I'm going to settle for the cold drink. Oh, you just bit the keyboard for me. Thank you, buddy. That wasn't necessary. That wasn't necessary. Okay. Now we're into knowledge. Knowledge. Okay. Knowledge Arcana is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the sorcerer, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the skill associated is Int. Knowledge Dungeoneering is a class skill for the bard, the fighter, the paladin, the ranger. No, wait. Sorry, not paladin. The ranger, the rogue, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is Int. Knowledge Engineering is a class skill for the bard, the fighter, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is Int. Knowledge Geography is a class skill for the bard, the druid, the ranger, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is Int. Knowledge History is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the monk, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is Int. Knowledge Local is a class skill for the bard, the rogue, and the wizard. The rogue? Really? History? Oh, no, wait, it's local. Local. Okay, that makes sense. Untrained cannot be used, and the ability associated is Int. Knowledge Nature is a class skill for barbarian, bard, druid, ranger, and wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is Int. Knowledge Nobility is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the paladin. Really? That makes sense, I guess. And the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is Int. Knowledge Planes is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is int. That was one of my very strong points as a when I played my one wizard character. I think I dumped like everything into planes. I had a crazy planes check. I think I maxed out as much as possible most of the knowledge ones, but planes was the focus. One day you'll finally play Pathfinder. Mm, mm. I want to say, I I guess I probably like I'm reading through it and I've played D&D 3.5, but I guess I want more of a bullet point list of the differences. Like what are the benefits of playing Pathfinder versus 3.5? If we're going back that way. But honestly, I think I probably want to try out other systems instead. Simply to try them out. Okay. Knowledge. Knowledge planes. Did I cover that? I talked about it, but not necessarily for the table skills. Okay, knowledge planes is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, and the wizard. Cannot be used untrained, and the ability is int. Knowledge religion is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the monk, the paladin, and the wizard. It cannot be used untrained, and the ability associated is int. Linguistics is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the rogue, and the wizard. Cannot be used untrained, and the ability associated is int. Perception. Perception is a class skill for the barbarian, the bard, the druid, the monk, the ranger, and the rogue. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is wisdom. Perform is a class skill for the bard, the monk, and the rogue. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is charisma. When will this cat give up? Okay. So, the class skill profession is the skill profession is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the druid, the fighter, the monk, the paladin, the ranger, the rogue, the sorcerer, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability score associated is wisdom. The skill ride is a class skill for the barbarian, the druid, the fighter, the monk, the paladin, and the ranger. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is dex, but armor check penalty applies. The skill sense motive is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the monk, the paladin, and the rogue. It is you can use it untrained, and the ability associated is wisdom. Sleight of hand is a class skill for the bard and the rogue. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is dex, but an armor check penalty applies. Spellcraft is a class skill for the bard, the cleric, the druid, the paladin, the ranger, the sorcerer, and the wizard. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability associated is dex. Stealth. Stealth is a class skill for the bard, the monk, the ranger, and the rogue. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is dex, but an armor check penalty applies. Survival is a class skill for the barbarian, the druid, the fighter, and the ranger. You can use it untrained, and the ability associated is wisdom. Swim is a class skill For the barbarian, the druid, the fighter, the monk, the ranger, and the rogue, you can use it untrained, and the strength, or the ability associated is strength, but an armor check penalty applies. Use magic device is a class skill for the bard, the rogue, and the sorcerer. You cannot use it untrained, and the ability that uses it, or the ability it uses, is charisma. Okay. So, skill descriptions adhere to the following guidelines. Skill name. The skill name line includes, in addition to the name of the skill, the following information. Key ability. The abbreviation of the ability whose modifier applies to the skill check. He's grooming himself now. The cat. Oh, he's like burrowing in a little bit more. Key ability. The abbreviation of the ability whose modifier applies to the skill check. Trained only. If this notation is included in the skill name line, you must have at least one rank in the skill to use it. If this notation is omitted, the skill can be used untrained with a rank of 0. If any special notes apply to trained or untrained use, they are covered in the untrained section. See below. Armor check penalty. If this notation is included in the skill name line, an armor check penalty applies. See equipment to checks using the skill. If this entry is absent, an armor check penalty does not apply. Description. The skill name line is followed by a general description of what using the skill represents. Check. What a character, you, in the skill description, can do with a successful check, or successful skill check, and the check's difficulty class, DC. Action. The type of action using the skill requires, or the amount of time required for the check. Try again. Any conditions that apply to successive attempts to use the skill successfully. If the skill doesn't allow you to attempt the same task more than once, or if failure carries an inherent penalty, such as with the climb skill, you can't take 20. If this paragraph is omitted, the skill can be retried without any inherent penalty other than the time required. Special. Any extra facts that apply to the skill, such as special effects deriving from its use, or bonuses that certain characters receive because of class, feat choices, or race. Restriction. The full utility of certain skills is restricted to characters of certain classes. This entry indicates whether any such restrictions exist for the skill. Untrained. This entry indicates what a character without at least one rank in the skill can do with it. If this entry doesn't appear, it means the skill functions normally for untrained characters, if it can be used untrained, or that an untrained character can attempt checks with the skill for skills that are designed or designated trained only. Okay. Let us check one. Oh wow, these entries are actually quite long for the skills. Mm, mm. Okay. I want my tea while it's still warm. I'm sorry, cat. I'm going to have to release my arm. Oh, and now the purrs are unleashed. Purrs are unleashed. It's kind of a, is he upset? Did I just upset him? It's kind of funny that doing this makes him purr. But maybe that's because it woke him up, sort of? But he was already kind of awake. Wow. Wow. Oh, And I wrapped myself up a bit more there. We're going to go into reading the actual skill descriptions. Acrobatics, Dex, armor check penalty. You can keep your balance while traversing narrow or treacherous surfaces. You can also dive, flip, jump, and roll to avoid attacks and overcome obstacles. Check. You can use acrobatics to move on narrow surfaces and uneven ground without falling. A successful check allows you to move at half speed across such surfaces. Only one check is needed per round. Use the following table to determine the base DC, which is then modified by the acrobatics skill modifiers noted below. While you are using acrobatics in this way, you are considered flat-footed and lose your dexterity bonus to your AC, if any. If you take damage while using acrobatics, you must immediately make another acrobatics check at the same DC to avoid falling or being knocked prone. If you hear some like ticky-tacky noises, that might be the cat. He is hitting his tail against the keyboard. I can't tell, like, this is normally a sign that they're kind of mad, right? When they kind of tic-tac their tail. Like, do like the slam, but like a gentle-ish slam. I know that, like, the more, I guess the more volatile looking the tail, the more angry the cat is. But here it's kind of an, oh, but all I'm doing is rubbing the belly. All I'm doing is rubbing the belly. Why are you so mad? Why are you so mad? Like, your face doesn't look mad, it's just the tail. Just the tail. Surface width. Greater than 3 feet wide, the base acrobatics DC is 0. No acrobatics check is needed to move across these surfaces unless the modifiers to the surface below increase the DC to 10 or higher. This applies to 2 surfaces. The greater than 3 feet wide, which we just talked about, and then the 1 to 3 feet wide, which has a base acrobatics DC of 5. 7 to 11 inches wide has a base acrobatics DC of 10. 2 to 6 inches wide has a base acrobatics DC of 15. Less than 2 inches wide has a base acrobatics DC of 20. So I guess if you want to be a slackliner, that's a base acrobatics DC of 20. It is slacklining, right? They have the string that's about 2 inches wide-ish. In addition, you can move through a threatened square without provoking an attack of opportunity from an enemy by using acrobatics. When moving in this way, you move at half speed. You can move at full speed by increasing the DC of the check by 10. You cannot use acrobatics to move past foes if your speed is reduced due to carrying a medium or heavy load or wearing medium or heavy armor. If an ability allows you to move at full speed under such conditions, you can use acrobatics to move past foes. You can use acrobatics in this way while prone, but doing so requires a full round action to move 5 feet, and the DC is increased by 5. If you attempt to move through an enemy space and fail the check, you lose the move action and provoke an attack of opportunity. Situation. Move through threatened area. The base acrobatics DC is the opponent's combat maneuver defense. The situation. Move through an enemy space. The base acrobatics DC is 5 plus the opponent's combat maneuver defense. This DC is used to avoid an attack of opportunity due to movement. This DC increases by 2 for each additional opponent avoided in 1 round. Long jump. Acrobatics DCs. Long jump of 5 feet has an acrobatics DC of 5. Okay, this is actually quite simple. So for long jumps, the distance jumped appears to be equal to the DC. So 5 feet 5, 10 feet 10, 15 feet 15, 20 feet 20. and greater than 20 feet is +5 per 5 feet. So a high jump is a bit different though. So the high jump, 1 foot is a DC of 4, 2 feet is a DC of 8, 3 feet is a DC of 12, 4 feet is a DC of 16. Greater than 4 feet is +4 per foot. So just a different formula there. So number of feet times 4 versus equal. Finally, you can use the acrobatic skill to make jumps or to soften a fall. The base DC to make a jump is equal to the distance to be crossed, if horizontal, or 4 times the height to be reached, if vertical. These DCs double if you do not have at least 10 feet of space to get a running start. The only acrobatics modifiers that apply are those concerning the surface that you are jumping from. If you fail this check by 4 or less, you can attempt a DC 20 reflex save to grab hold of the other side after having missed the jump. If you fail by 5 or more, you fail to make the jump and fall, or land prone in the case of a vertical jump. Creatures with a baseline speed above 30 feet receive a +4 racial bonus on acrobatics checks made to jump for every 10 feet of their speed above 30 feet. Creatures with a baseline speed below 30 feet receive a -4 racial bonus on acrobatics checks made to jump for every 10 feet of their speed below 30 feet. No jump can allow you to exceed the maximum movement for the round. For a running jump, the result of your acrobatics check indicates the distance traveled in the jump, and if the check fails, the distance at which you actually land and fall prone. Have this result for a standing long jump to determine where you land. When you deliberately fall any distance, even as a result of a missed jump, a DC 15 acrobatics check allows you to ignore the first 10 feet fallen, although you still end up prone if you take damage from a fall. See the falling rules for further details. Falling rules. Many conditions can affect your chances of success with acrobatics checks. The following modifiers to target DCs apply to all acrobatic skill checks. The modifiers stack with one another, but only the most severe modifier for any one condition applies. Acrobatics modifiers. Slightly obstructed, gravel, sand. DC modifier of +2. Acrobatics modifier, severely obstructed, cavern, rubble. That's a DC modifier of +5. Slightly slippery, wet, is a +2 DC mod. Severely slippery, icy, is +5. Slightly sloped, so it looks like a less than a 45-degree angle, is a +2 modifier. A severely sloped, which is a greater than 45-degree angle, is +5. Slightly unsteady, boat in rough water, is a +2 mod. Moderately unsteady, boat in a storm, is a +5 mod. Severely unsteady, like an earthquake, is a +10 mod. Move at full speed on narrow or uneven surfaces is a +5 modifier, but this does not apply to checks made to jump. So, the action for this acrobatics is none. An acrobatics check is part of another action or as a reaction to a situation. Special. If you have 3 or more ranks in acrobatics, you gain a +3 dodge bonus to AC when fighting defensively instead of the usual +2, and a +6 dodge bonus to AC when taking the total defense action instead of the usual +4. If you have the acrobatic feat, you get a bonus on acrobatics checks. See feats. I'm actually going to be right back. I have to take care of something. I'm going to be Remove. I see you. I see you. I wanted to. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, he bonked his head. I have a cat here, and he bonked his head on the mic. And now, okay, oh, okay. Oh. He's a bit feisty. Okay, he's bitey. He's bitey. Sorry. Ow, 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 ow. Ow, ow, ow. Sorry about this. I've been reading for the past half hour our Pathfinder skill check stuff, and the cat had been resting peacefully in my arms, and he is not so peaceful anymore. He's decided today is the day. Now it's time for violence. Now is the time for violence. I was checking out his head because I had seen that he had a wound, but I didn't see the extent of it. He's been getting into fights with Contessa, my other cat. Well, one of my other cats. I have 3 cats. But only one is probably going to show up on stream. And that is this one. He changed the scene. He changed the scene. He's mad. He's right by the keyboard. Who wins the fights? I want to say I do. I win the fights. I win the fights. But when it comes to the cats, I want to say the cat that's currently with me, the boy cat, is bigger and heavier. And he has extreme jealousy on his side. He is like, he is extremely jealous. He loves me a lot, I think. And the other cat is semi-feral, so she has like experience on her side, I'm pretty certain, but she is a bit smaller, but she's unfortunately gaining weight. Like, not unfortunately exactly, but she's definitely become a little chunker since coming inside. I've been trying to get her to play. The cat that tried to end stream. So there's also the fact that I think boy cat feels more at home in this place than the other cat does. So he has kind of a home field advantage. So he's more likely to win, but he's going to get hurt pretty bad, I think, doing so. So he's got some marks on the top of his head. I can clip his claws, but I cannot clip the girl cat who he fights with because I literally cannot touch her. She is in a mixed state of feral and unferal. But sorry, I never greeted you, Void Alexander. Welcome. Sorry that the introduction was a be right back screen and then a cat interrupting. But yes, so she is semi-feral. Like, she is no proper feral, but she does not trust humans. She is extremely high-strung, even after living with me for, let's see, 3 or so months now. Maybe, probably not 4 quite yet, but living with me for 3 months. And also taking some pretty decent anxiety relieving medication during that time frame. Even then, she was like barely chill enough to touch. Barely. So I cannot touch her. I cannot pet her. And I don't know if I can really catch her anymore. At least not in a traditional manner. Thankfully, she seems to view her cat carrier as a safe space to sleep. So if I do have to take her back to the vet, then I can theoretically just open that and she will go in eventually. But, but I don't know how long that trick will last. If she'll catch on too quickly. The boy cat is beating up on the girl. Yes. I have another girl cat too, but she is a bit out of the picture. She is uh, much, she's a senior cat and she is on some pretty strong, I guess, relaxants. She's on phenobarbital, which is a controlled substance. Uh, but yeah, it makes her very, very ditzy of a cat. So she doesn't really care too much about the others. She will ignore them. They need to team up on him. He can't be hitting the girls. she does. She does. I call her my Xanax mom here. Xanax mom does sometimes like smack the boy cat when he's out of line, but again, she's older on the frailer side, so she doesn't have the power to really do it. And she also, I don't think she particularly likes the new cat either, but she mostly just ignores her because they don't really have the same interests. Xanax mom mostly just wants to hang out in a few spots in warm sunlight or on a warm bed or uh, in bed with people. She likes me too a lot, but not quite as much as the boy cat does. And again, my my new cat, the semi-feral, is not interested in people, so she mostly just wants to hang out in the windows, in open windows. She wants to sleep and she wants to play alone with her toys. She does not want people involved unless 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 I can get the toys out from her when she puts them in places where they shouldn't be, like stuck behind a door. She wants me to take them out then, I think, because she won't grab it herself, but she'll play with it 5 minutes after I grab it out. Male cats are clingier and more jealous. I don't have a whole lot of experience with male cats. This is only my second one, and the first one I had was already a senior cat. Perhaps he was like 10 or 12 years old, probably more like 10 years old. And he was not, he was not clingy to me. He was, he enjoyed spending time with people and he enjoyed lying on people, but he never really got feisty with my elder girl cat, Xanax mom, over space with people. They mostly just ignored each other. Versus this current male cat that I have who is extremely jealous, and that might be because I am like, I rescued him from, he's on the keyboard. I rescued him from outdoors when he was a kid, and I was the one who took care of him a lot. So I think that's why. I think that's why. Fond kittenhood memories or something like that of mother dearest. And he just looks so tired. He's like, no, don't. But yes, he actually likes to come under the covers to bed with me and such. And sometimes he's even, it's weird to say like he's begging for it, but like it'll just kind of like start scratching at the bed near the opening as if he's trying to flip it up until I lift up the covers to let him in. He may not stay there for a very long time, but sometimes he does. Sometimes he does. It's probably going to become more common as the winter, as autumn, as autumn swings further in and as winter comes along. Oh, oh, oh. I'm actually going to fix. I'm going to be right back really quickly before I start reading again because I just noticed something. Sorry about that. I wanted to fix something. I wanted to fix something. Let's see. Mm. Okay. I think we had finished acrobatics. So now it is time for something else. I have to, in order to flip, I have to get, I have to get my hand off the cat. Hopefully that won't make him too mad. Hopefully he won't end stream on me. What? Oh. Okay. Siamese? No, he's. Oh, no. You cannot. Come back into my arms. Come back. Okay, yes. He is not Siamese. He is simply a domestic short hair. He is your run of the mill cat. I don't have any special breeds. Not for cats. They've all been. Wow. The two of them were rescued off of streets. One of them actually. Well, this boy cat here, I found outside my abode. Someone must have left him there when he was a kitten, which was really bad because it was a place where a number of people lived, but also very close to the woods, very close to some treacherous woods. And he was alone too, a lone kitten there. And I talked to some of the other people there, and they said that, for instance, there were some feral cats around, but they had all been fixed and taken care of by locals. So none of them had kittens recently, and here he was, an 8-ish week old kitten all alone, crying outside. It took a day or two to capture him, but that was that. I did not intend to keep him, but it was really hard to say no. It's really hard to say no to a kitten. And Contessa is the latest one. She was an outdoor cat that has been living outside for the past few years. And I thought that she was perhaps someone's cat, except for the fact that she had a wound on her tail that did not heal for months. So if she was someone's pet, she wasn't very well taken care of. So I found a local group to trap her and take care of her. Unfortunately, they did not do a very good job, and her tail ended up so poor that I had to amputate it. So she's a bobtail now. She's got a cute little stub. If he was sociable from the get-go, he might have been escaped or abandoned. I would have thought like abandoned, but again, he was quite loud crying outside. And so more of if he was anyone's pet around that area, they would have known. They would have known. They would have heard him. So they must not have wanted him, I think. Because again, he was out there for a few days, even before I found him, apparently. There was one local who mentioned that, like, normally he did not feed the cats not lying around, but like feed the cats that were around. But he started to feed this one boy cat because he was an absolutely tiny kitten, and like he felt really bad for him. So he was actually rather glad that someone had picked him up, someone had rescued him. Otherwise, he would have just been uh, another local feral, probably, or like stray feral. But he wasn't super social. He was not necessarily coming up to get pet. He was doing like a weird little dance of I'm not sure if you're a friend or not. That would usually result in him running away. So I ended up actually having to trap him in a cat trap. And it took a little bit of warming up to get him to trust us, but not a huge amount. But he didn't have any fleas or anything when I found him either, so more likely abandoned. But there was also, so Contessa was a local stray feral combination that I took in because of her tail. I found out later from the neighbors that some of them had been feeding her, and one of them kind of raised her, sort of, or rather, like took in her feral mother when she had the kittens, but was not able to fully tame the kittens. They were too far gone. So they kind of just let them back out into the streets. Fixed. They were fixed, but they did not get ear tipped, which made me think that she was someone's pet. So, a bit unfortunate. But, and then I have Xanax mom, who I adopted from a proper group, and her story was that apparently she was a single mother living on the streets of the city, and all her kittens had just been adopted out by that group, which I could believe. I do remember seeing her kittens. But she was supposed to be a young mother. And she was very scared in the beginning, but she's become extremely friendly now. Extremely open. She greets visitors when they come into the house. She's going to be the first one to see people. And then there was my last, well, I shouldn't say last, one of the first cats I took in along with Zadok's mom. He was an older male cat, and his story was that he was apparently left out. He was apparently left in a crate in front of a pet store in November. So, not a very good first time. But he was an extremely chill cat. He was fearless at the beginning. Not that he grew to have fears, it's more so that he, through the time of having him, there were some things he did not like. He was not particularly fond of the kitten, for instance, and he wasn't necessarily going to come up to strangers, but he wasn't going to hide. A feralish kitten you took in would hide at the first sign of anything and hiss if you tried to pet her. She would still try and play around and jump on occupied beds. The hiding at the sign of anything might be a socialization issue, and I have to say, like, my boy cat here does the same thing. If there's a knock at the door, he is gone. He is gone. He will make his way upstairs because nothing bad can get him upstairs. Nothing bad at all. But I will say that I went on vacation and I asked a friend to take care of the cats, and I told them that they would likely never see Boy Cat ever. He's too afraid. The very first day, he did not see the Boy Cat. The second day, though, the Boy Cat was watching him and came up because I think he realized, this is the feeder. I can trust the feeder. I can trust the feeder. So it's possible now where he is that he feels comfortable after a bit to come out and meet people after getting to know them after a few visits. But Until then, he is very much a homebody. He likes the people in home, and he sometimes likes the cats in home. But outsiders, ooh, outsiders are no good. The strange noises outside are no good. Playing in bed is fun though for them. They all seem to enjoy playing in bed. Okay, I'm going to take. It's kind of my hands again. It's trapped, and I want the. I want my tea. I'm going to reach over. It's not hot, so if I spill it on the cat, it won't hurt. Okay. Ah, being left-handed sucks. Being left-handed sucks. I want to say normally it's great because I'm right-handed with the mouse. So I can drink my tea in my left hand and do things on the computer with my right. Just train my offhand. I don't normally need to though. It's only in cases like this where I do. So I do some, like a little bit, I guess, but there's still the problem of me just naturally putting things down on the left side, and I don't have the foresight to see, like, oh, is the cat going to be cuddly today? Am I going to have to maneuver my entire desk around him today? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So, Pathfinder 1E. Another skill. This one's rather short. Okay. Appraise. Int. You can evaluate the monetary value of an object. Check. A DC 20 appraise check determines the value of a common item. If you succeed by 5 or more, you also determine if the item has magic properties. Although the success does not grant knowledge of the magic item's abilities. If you fail the check by less than 5, you determine the price of that item to within 20% of its actual value. If you fail this check by 5 or more, the price is wildly inaccurate, subject to DM discretion. Particularly rare or exotic items might increase the DC of this check by 5 or more. You can also use this check to determine the most valuable item visible in a treasure hoard. The DC of this check is generally 20, but can increase as high as 30 for a particularly large hoard. Action. Appraising an item takes 1 standard action. Determining the most valuable object in a treasure hoard takes 1 full action round. Or 1 full action. Full round action. 1 full round action. Try again. Additional attempts to appraise an item reveal the same result. Special. A spellcaster with a Raven Familiar gains a +3 bonus on appraise checks. And that's it for appraise. Appraise is rather short. Okay, next we have bluff. Bluff is also rather short. Bluff, charisma. You know how to tell a lie. Check. Bluff is an opposed skill check against your opponent's sense motive skill. If you use bluff to fool someone with a successful check, you convince your opponent that what you are saying is true. Bluff checks are modified depending on the believability of the tale. Of the lie. The following modifiers are applied to the role of the creature attempting to tell the lie. Note that some lies are so improbable that it is impossible to convince anyone that they are true, subject to GM discretion. Circumstances. The target wants to believe you. The bluff modifier is +5. The lie is believable. +0. The lie is unlikely. -5. The lie is far-fetched. -10. The lie is impossible. -20. The target is drunk or impaired. +5. You possess convincing proof. Up to +10. Feint. You can use bluff to feint in combat, causing your opponent to be denied his dexterity bonus to his AC against your next attack. The TC of the check is equal to 10 plus your opponent's base attack bonus plus your opponent's wisdom modifier. If your opponent is trained in sense motive, the DC is instead equal to 10 plus your opponent's sense motive bonus, if higher. For more information on feinting in combat, see combat. Secret messages. You can use bluff to pass hidden messages along to another character without others understanding your true meaning by using innuendo to cloak your actual message. The DC of this check is 15 for simple messages and 20 for complex messages. If you are successful, the target automatically understands you, assuming you are communicating in a language that it understands. If your check fails by 5 or more, you deliver the wrong message. Other creatures that receive the message can decipher it by succeeding at an opposed sense motive check against your bluff result. Action. Attempting to deceive someone takes at least 1 round, but can possibly take longer if the lie is elaborate, as determined by the GM on a case-by-case basis. Feinting in combat is a standard action. Using bluff to deliver a secret message takes twice as long as the message would otherwise take to relay. Try again. If you fail to deceive someone, further attempts to deceive them are at a -10 penalty and may be impossible at GM discretion. You can attempt to feint against someone again if you fail. Secret messages can be relayed again if the first attempt fails. Special. A spellcaster with a Viper familiar gains a +3 bonus on bluff checks. If you have the deceitful trait, or deceitful feat, you get a bonus on bluff checks. See feats. Okay, next after that is... Climb is next. Climb is another longer one. Okay. Flip, flip, flip. Climb, strength, armor check penalty. You are skilled at scaling vertical surfaces from smooth city walls to rocky cliffs. Check. With a successful climb check, you can advance up, down, or across a slope, wall, or other steep incline, or even across a ceiling, provided it has handholds, at 1/4 your normal speed. A slope is considered to be any incline at an angle measuring less than 60 degrees. A wall is any incline at an angle measuring 60 degrees or more. A climb check that fails by 4 or less means that you make no progress, and one that fails by 5 or more means that you fall from whatever height you have already attained. Okay, hold on, really quick. I'm going to do a snuggle break. Let me try this. Oh, okay, that upset him. Oh, no, don't hit it, Okay. Okay. I got him up, but I didn't mean to. I just wanted some snuggle. Oh, his butt is too big. Okay, okay. Now it's my other arm. So I have my left arm free now, and I already moved everything to the right. What am I going to do with this cat? Okay. I guess that's my own fault for instigating. That's my own fault for instigating. Okay. A climb check that fails by 4 or less. Oh, wait, no, I already read that. The DC of the check depends on the conditions of the climb. Compare the task with those on the following table to determine the appropriate DC. Climb DC of 0. Example surface or activity. A slope too steep to walk up, or a knotted rope with a wall to brace against. Climb DC of 5. A rope with a wall to brace against, or a knotted rope, or a rope affected by the rope trick spell. He's resting his hand on some keys. Okay. Oh, no, boy. No. Please don't do that. He did something with his tail. Climb DC of 10. A surface with ledges to hold on to and stand on, such as a very rough wall or a ship's rigging. 15. Climb DC. Any surface with adequate handholds and footholds, natural or artificial, such as a very rough natural rock surface or a tree, or an unknotted rope, by pulling yourself up when dangling by your hands. Climb DC of 20. An uneven surface with narrow handholds and footholds, such as a typical wall in a dungeon. DC of 25. A rough surface such as a natural rock wall or a brick wall. A climb DC of 30. An overhang or ceiling with handholds only. Climb DC of nothing. Blank. A perfectly smooth, flat vertical or inverted surface cannot be climbed. And there are some modifiers that you can apply to all this. So, climb DC modifier of -10 could be represented by climbing a chimney, artificial or natural, or other location where you can brace against 2 opposite walls. A climb DC modifier of -5 could be represented by climbing a corner where you can brace against perpendicular walls. A climb DC modifier of +5 could be represented by the surface being slippery. These modifiers are all cumulative. Use all that apply. You need both hands free to climb, but you may cling to a wall with one hand while you cast a spell or take some other action that requires only one hand. While climbing, you can't move to avoid a blow, so you lose your dexterity bonus to AC, if any. You also can't use a shield while climbing. Anytime you take damage while climbing, make a climb check against the DC of the slope or wall. Failure means you fall from your current height and sustain the appropriate falling damage. Accelerated climbing. You try to climb more quickly than normal. By accepting a -5 penalty, you can move half your speed instead of 1/4 your speed. Let's see. Actually, okay, let's try this again. Let's see. Oh, thank you for the follow, Sebius Sculptor. Thank you. Let's see. Okay. Accelerated climbing. You try to climb more quickly than normal. Okay, I did the 1/4 speed thing, I'm pretty certain. Hold on, 1 second. Got my tongue. The cat got my tongue. Okay. Make your own handholds and footholds. You can make your own handholds and footholds by pounding pythons into a wall. Doing so takes 1 minute per python, and 1 python is needed per 5 feet of distance. As with any surface that offers handholds and footholds, a wall with pythons in it has a DC of 15. In the same way, a climber with a hand axe or similar implement can cut handholds in an ice wall. Catch yourself when falling. It's practically impossible to catch yourself on a wall while falling. Yet, if you wish to attempt such a difficult task, you can make a climb check. DC is equal to walls DC plus 20 to do so. It's much easier to catch yourself on a slope. DC is equal to slopes DC plus 10. Catch a falling character while climbing. If someone climbing above you or adjacent to you falls, you can attempt to catch the falling character if he or she is within your reach. Doing so requires a successful melee touch attack against the falling character, though he or she can voluntarily forego any dexterity bonus to AC if desired. If you hit, you must immediately attempt a climb check. DC equal to the wall's DC plus 10. Success indicates that you catch the falling character, but his total weight, including equipment, cannot exceed your heavy load limit, or you automatically fall. If you fail your climb check by 4 or less, you fail to stop the character's fall, but you don't lose your grip on the wall. If you fail by 5 or more, you fail to stop the character's fall and begin falling as well. Action. Climbing is part of movement, so it's generally part of a move action and may be combined with other types of movement in a move action. Each move action that includes any climbing requires a separate climb check. Catching yourself or another falling character does not take an action. Special. You can use a rope to haul a character upward or lower a character through sheer strength. You can lift double your maximum load in this manner. A creature with a climb speed has a +8 racial bonus on all climb checks. The creature must make a climb check to climb any wall or slope with a DC higher than 0, but can always choose to take 10, even if rushed or threatened while climbing. If a creature with a climb speed chooses an accelerated climb, see above, it moves at double its climb speed, or at its land speed, whichever is slower, and makes a single climb check at -5 penalty. Such a creature retains its dexterity bonus to its armor class, if any, while climbing, and opponents get no special bonus to their attacks against it. It cannot, however, use the run action while climbing. What? Cat. Okay. I can feel him purring on my arm. It's a shame that the microphone can't really pick him up. Or at least not the good parts anyway. Just thinking like, it can probably pick up his tail thudding. If you have the athletic feat, you get a bonus on climb checks. See feats. Okay. A little bit. Okay, the next thing we have is craft. As he gets tighter wound up here. Oh, no. He just lonked. Okay, I'm going to cutting the tea. It's cold. My tea is cold now. Right, I figured out what was wrong with some of the things. I had done something a little tricksy to it, and I needed to update a few things to make it work again. I need to make a few updates to make it work again. So, craft. Craft is next. Craft, int. You are skilled in the creation of a specific group of items, such as armor or weapons. Like knowledge, perform, and profession, craft is actually a number of separate skills. You could have several craft skills, each with its own ranks. The most common craft skills are alchemy, armor, baskets, books, bows, calligraphy, carpentry, cloth, clothing, glass, jewelry, leather, locks, paintings, pottery, sculptures, ships, shoes, stonemasonry, traps, and weapons. A craft skill is specifically focused on creating something. If nothing is created by the endeavor, it probably falls under the heading of a profession skill. Check. You can practice your trade and make a decent living, earning half your check result in gold pieces per week of dedicated work. You know how to use the tools of your trade, how to perform the craft's daily tasks, how to supervise untrained helpers, and how to handle common problems. Untrained laborers and assistants earn an average of 1 silver piece per day. The basic function of the craft skill, however, is to allow you to make an item of the appropriate type. The DC depends on the complexity of the item to be created. The DC, your check result, and the price of the item determine how long it takes to make a particular item. The item's finished price also determines the cost of raw materials. Isn't that backwards? Like, maybe. In some cases, the fabricate spell can be used to achieve the results of a craft check with no actual check involved. You must still make an appropriate craft check when using the spell to make the articles required, or make articles requiring a high degree of craftsmanship. A successful craft check related to woodworking in conjunction with the casting of the iron wood spell enables you to make wooden items that have the strength of steel. When casting the spell Minor Creation, you must succeed on an appropriate craft check to make a complex item. All crafts require artisan's tools to give the best chance of success. If improvised tools are used, the check is made with a -2 penalty. On the other hand, masterwork artisan's tools provide a +2 circumstance bonus on the check. To determine how much time and money it takes to make an item, follow these steps. 1. Find the item's price in silver pieces. 1 gold piece is equal to 10 silver pieces. 2. Find the item's DC from table, craft skills. 3. Pay 1/3 of the item's price for the raw material cost. 4. Oh, this is the long step. This is the long step. Okay. Make an appropriate craft check representing 1 week's worth of work. If the check succeeds, multiply your check result by the DC. If the result times the DC equals the price of the item in silver pieces, then you've completed the item. If the result times the DC equals double or triple the price of the item in silver pieces, then you've completed the task in 1/2 or 1/3 of the time. Other multiples of the DC reduce the time in the same manner. If the result times the DC doesn't equal the price, then it represents the progress you've made this week. Record the results and make a new craft check for the next week. Each week, you make more progress until your total reaches the price of the item in silver pieces. If you fail a check by 4 or less, you make no progress this week. If you fail by 5 or more, you ruin half the raw materials and have to pay half the original raw material cost again. Progress by the day. You can make checks by the day instead of by the week. In this case, your progress, check result times DC, should be divided by the number of days in a week. Create masterwork items. You can make a masterwork item, a weapon, a suit of armor, shield, or tool that conveys a bonus on its use through its exceptional craftsmanship. To create a masterwork item, You create the masterwork component as if it were a separate item in addition to the standard item. The masterwork component has its own price, 300 gold pieces for a weapon, or 150 gold pieces for a suit of armor or a shield. See equipment for the price of other masterwork tools. And a craft DC of 20. Once both the standard component and the masterwork component are completed, the masterwork item is finished. The cost you pay for the masterwork component is 1/3 of the given amount, just as it is for the cost in raw materials. Repair items. You can repair an item by making checks against the same DC that it took to make the item in the first place. The cost of repairing an item is 1/5 of the item's price. Table craft skills. The item craft acid is skill. Having to parse how this works. Okay, the item craft acid. The skill is alchemy. The craft DC is 15. Alchemist fire, smoke stick, or tinder twig is alchemy as well, with a craft DC of 20. Antitoxin, sunrod, tanglefoot bag, or thunderstone are also alchemy, and they have a craft DC of 25. An armor or shield is armor skill, and the craft DC is 10 plus the AC's bonus. Item craft longbow, short bow, or arrows is the skill bows. The craft DC is 12. Composite longbow or composite short bow is also bows, and the craft DC is 15. Composite longbow or composite short bow with a high strength rating is also bows, and the craft DC is 15, plus 2 times the rating of the bow, or the strength rating. So, mechanical trap is skill traps, and the craft DC varies. Traps have their own rules for construction, not included in this table. Item craft crossbows or bolts is skill weapons, and has a craft DC of 15. I think I need to go take care of something. I am going to be right back. I think Xanax Mom is having an issue. Okay, I was wrong. I heard rustling noises and I thought it was her having an issue, but I think it was actually her playing with her toys. She doesn't do it very often, so it's always a little bit worrisome and surprising when I hear that. And then I made the other cat get up for no reason, so now he's gonna be mad again. Ugh. Okay, which arm? Which arm? Please don't be on the keyboard. Please. Okay. Okay. Like, I don't understand how this is comfortable for him. He's like, oh, he's like a big, okay, normally I would say croissant, but he's like a bagel. And I'm going to actually mute real quick so I can move the keyboard away from him. Okay. I'm a little afraid of him triggering something else again without my knowledge. Because his shoulder is like right by everything. Cats are so troublesome. Cats are so troublesome. Okay, so crossbow bolts had a DC of 15 for crafting. A simple melee or thrown weapon is also weapon skill, and has a craft DC of 12. A martial melee or thrown weapon is also a weapon skill and has a craft DC of 15. An exotic melee or thrown weapon is also a weapon skill and has a craft DC of 18. A very simple item like a wooden spoon, the skill varies and the craft DC is 5. A typical item like an iron pot, the skill also varies and the craft DC is 10. A high quality item like a bell, the skill also varies and the craft DC is 15. A complex or superior item like a lock, the skill varies and the craft DC is 20. Action does not apply. Craft checks are made by the day or week. Try again. You can try again, but each time you fail by 5 or more, you ruin half the raw materials and have to pay half the original raw material cost again. Special. You may voluntarily add plus 10 to the indicated DC to craft an item. This allows you to create the item more quickly, since you'll be multiplying this higher DC by your craft check result to determine progress. You must decide whether to increase the DC before you make each weekly or daily check. Lurk. Hello, Sivia. To make an item using craft alchemy, you must have alchemical equipment. If you are working in a city, you can buy what you need as part of the raw materials cost to make the item. But alchemical equipment is difficult or impossible to come by in some places. Purchasing and maintaining an alchemist lab grants a +2 circumstance bonus on craft alchemy checks because you have the perfect tools for the job, but it does not affect the cost of any items made using the skill. A gnome receives a +2 bonus on a craft or profession skill of her choice. Okay, what comes after crafting? Okay, next is diplomacy. Comfy Pathfinder. I skipped a bunch of classes so I can go to the skills, because I realized that, kind of like a leisure, we have so much time in the world, and then realizing, end of September is upon us. I have to make sure I know all this well enough by Saturday, because that is when my first Pathfinder game is, which is why I'm skipping. I'm going to be also probably doing a lot more, what's the phrase? Extracurricular reading. Extragram sessions. Wow. And it's so comfy. I was studying the whole time. Yes, you thought this was all for your benefit? It's not. It's not all for your benefit. It's for my benefit. You have been used. It's so comfy. I've got a cat in my arms here sleeping. I say in my arms, but this particular movie's doing right now isn't in my arms. It's simply in front of me on the desk, between me and the keyboard. Before he was actually laying on my arms and making it nigh impossible to do certain things. Yes, you're the viewer. Yes, you are the viewer. Okay. Diplomacy. Just. Actually, is there such a thing as persuasion? Let me check. Let me flip back. It's not a persuasion. There is not. So I suppose diplomacy is the closest thing here to our situation. I don't have a very good diplomacy score. Obviously, since you're not falling for this. Diplomacy, charisma. You can use the skill to persuade others to agree with your arguments, to resolve differences, and to gather valuable information or rumors from people. This skill is also used to negotiate conflicts by using the proper etiquette and manners suitable to the problem. Check. You can change the initial attitudes of non-player characters with a successful check. The DC of this check depends on the character's starting attitude towards you, adjusted by its charisma modifier. If you succeed, the character's attitude toward you is improved by 1 step. For every 5 by which your check result exceeds the DC, the character's attitude towards you increases by 1 additional step. A character's attitude cannot be shifted more than 2 steps up this way, although the GM can override this rule in some situations. If you fail the check by 4 or less, the character's attitude towards you is unchanged. If you fail by 5 or more, the character's attitude toward you is decreased by 1 step. You cannot use diplomacy against a creature that does not understand you or has an intelligence of 3 or less. Diplomacy is generally ineffective in combat and against creatures that intend to harm you or your allies in the immediate future. Any attitude shift caused through diplomacy generally lasts for 1d4 hours, but can last much longer or shorter depending upon the situation. GM discretion. What we learned today is being antisocial is life. Is that the lesson that we've learned? I don't necessarily think I lack diplomacy because of being antisocial. I think that's kind of a here or there sort of thing. Let's see. You cannot use diplomacy against a creature that does not understand you or has an intelligence of 3 or less. Also, hello. Hello, Goliath. Goliath. Okay. Is that okay. Sunshine VR. That's cute. I initially thought it was someone else. I thought it was a girl with green hair wearing like a black kitty hat, and not a girl with black and green hair with black and green kitty ears. It's very cute. Okay. You cannot use diplomacy against a creature that does not understand you or has an intelligence of 3 or less. Diplomacy is generally ineffective in combat and against creatures that intend to harm you or your allies in the immediate future. Any attitude shift caused through diplomacy generally lasts for 1d4 hours, but can last much longer or shorter depending on the GM. Depending on the situation. GM discretion. I already read that exact same paragraph. I'm a young, spry 334 years old. This should not be happening. Okay. Starting attitude. Starting attitude. Hostile. Diplomacy DC is 25 plus the creature's charisma modifier. Starting attitude of unfriendly. Diplomacy DC is 20 plus the creature's charisma modifier. Indifferent attitude is 15 plus the creature's charisma modifier. So many rules. Oh, this has not even begun to start to be really. Just thinking. I once learned GURPS. I have forgotten almost everything about GURPS, but I did once learn GURPS. Okay. Starting attitude of friendly. Diplomacy DC is 10 plus creature's charisma modifier. The starting attitude of helpful is 0 plus the creature's charisma modifier. So it is a 5-step process. Oh, someone shook their head. Is the creature in front of me friendly? Because he certainly isn't helpful. He certainly is not helpful. I have a cat in my arms right now. I am actually blocking him from typing with the keyboard. Oh, okay. I said that and then I hit the space bar. He's theoretically in my lap. He's on my desk where it would be my lap if there wasn't a desk. He's a cuddler. He's cuddling. If a creature's attitude towards you is at least indifferent, you can make requests of the creature. I want to say this does not apply to cats. This should not apply to cats. And this is an additional diplomacy check. Using the creature's current attitude to determine the base DC with one of the following modifiers. Once a creature's attitude has shifted to helpful, the creature gives in to most requests without a check. Thank you for the follow. Unless the request is against its nature or puts it in serious peril. Some requests automatically fail if the request goes against the creature's values or its nature, subject to GM discretion. Try to use diplomacy on him? Sorry. Thank you for the follow, Meg Goliath. But yeah, I want to say diplomacy doesn't really work on him unless you have food. Is that like a modifier I can make? Like, if I want to make it more of a barter, I guess, than a request, then it sometimes works. It sometimes works. Is resting his head on my wrist now, on the left one. Cats. I'd actually like to put up in the corner what the current section I'm reading, but at the same time I can't, because then it would disturb him. Handle animal check is what I'm looking for. That's not a class skill for me. Oh, okay. So, the request. Give simple advice or directions. The modifier is -5. Give detailed advice. The modifier is +0. Give simple aid. Modifier +0. Reveal an unimportant secret. The modifier is +5. Give lengthy or complicated ends. The modifier is +5. Give dangerous aid. Modifier of +10. Reveal an important secret. Modifier of +10 or more. Give aid that can result in punishment. A +15 or more modifier. Assuming I level up, I want to say most people are level 0, right? Theoretically, commoner. They don't have class levels. That requires me to have a class. What if I don't have a class? I am reading the rules of Pathfinder. 1st edition. Never done that. I've never played Pathfinder, but I'm going to be playing Pathfinder soon, as in this upcoming Saturday. Actually, I wonder if I can do the thing. Can I do the thing? Okay, this is gonna upset a cat, but it's also gonna make another cat happy. Okay, I'm pretty certain I'm going to spell it out right. But Dr. Conrad is going to be running a PvP one-shot on Saturday, and I am participating. It's going to be my first time playing Pathfinder. I have played D&D 3.5, however, that is not Pathfinder. And also, I played Gestalt, and I played basically no holds barred in terms of classes and extras. So we were monsters. In the first part, we were monsters and everything but species for the most part, because we were mostly evil. And the second one, we're literally a monster because of being a barbarian. They were unusual campaigns. Okay, I'm actually going to bring up that thing. So we're going to edit this real quick. We're going to edit this. We're reading about skills. Okay, we are currently on diplomacy for however long that's going to be, which is not going to be. No, let's see. Okay, reading about skills, diplomacy. Can I actually really quickly? Can I change the alignment? I can. Let's do a right alignment. That will work a lot better. This should work a lot better. But yes, there's going to be 6 of us as players duking it out. To the death, probably. And I will be playing a rogue in that campaign. not campaign, in that one shot, a human rogue as my first Pathfinder 3.5, or not Pathfinder 3.5, Pathfinder 1E character. So I think skills are going to be important for me, since I get like 8 ranks plus my int mod per level. Okay. And also because I'm a human, which means I get another skill rank per level. So it's going to be 9 per level. So I am going to be a bit of a skill monkey. Okay. Gather information. Okay, yes. So actually, I didn't finish, I think, the additional requests section of the table. So additional requests, diplomacy modifier is +5 per request. If I don't have class, just sit in study hall or cafeteria. There, I want to say, there is no study hall, unless you count the library, in which case, yes, I do have a library. I can sit there. I could sit there. But no, not everyone has class. Not everyone has class. I don't think I have a class. I have class, just not a class. Gather information. You can also use diplomacy to gather information about a specific topic or individual. To do this, you must spend at least 1d4 hours canvassing people at local taverns, markets, and gathering places. The DC of this check depends on the obscurity of the information sought, but for most commonly known facts or rumors, it is 10. For obscure or secret knowledge, the DC might increase to 20 or higher. The GM might rule that some topics are simply unknown to common folk. Action. Using diplomacy to influence a creature's attitude takes 1 minute of continuous interaction. Making a request of a creature takes 1 or more rounds of interaction, depending upon the complexity of the subject. Or the request. Using diplomacy to gather information takes 1d4 hours of work searching for rumors and informants. Try again. You cannot use diplomacy to influence a given creature's attitude more than once in a 24-hour period. If a request is refused, the result does not change with additional checks, although other requests might be made. You can retry diplomacy checks made to gather information. Special. If you have the persuasive feat, you gain a bonus on diplomacy checks. See feats. Okay, so that's diplomacy. Next is going to be disabled advice. So I'm going to, really quick, can I do this? Can I do this? Is it going to be unhappy? Is it going to be unhappy? We are going to read about disable. It would help if I could spell disable device. Okay. It's a little annoying. I thought that by changing it like that, it would. Vertical alignment center. Maybe we should try bottom. Let's do vertical alignment bottom. Alignment right. Okay. And bread and butter for rogues. I mean, disabled device is only available to the rogue, right? I'm looking forward to this. Granted, there is going to be a ninja in the group too, and I don't know what is available to the ninja. Let me check. What is available to the ninja? Is the ninja an advanced class? It is not. Is it a core class? It is not. Is it a prestige class? Hello, Alcavidian. Welcome. Okay, what is the ninja? Like, what is a ninja? Let's see. Pathfinder ninja. Posture check? Okay. Ninja is an archetype of rogue. Alternative class. So, interesting. So they are trained to use a poison, cannot accidentally poison herself when applying poison to a weapon. And they get ninja tricks. They get no trace. Uncanny dodge. So what kind of things are considered like... Okay, what are they trained in? Okay, so it is an alternate class. I wonder how different I suppose they are to the rogue. Like, how different is this? Or are they just like a better rogue? I wonder. I wonder. I'll have to look that up. They can go invisible at level 2 with a ninja trick. Oh, that's neat. Okay. So they also have disable device. So kind of two rogues in the, well, two rogues are going to be in the event, but one's a ninja. Disabled device, dex, armor check penalty, trained only. You are skilled at disarming traps and opening locks. In addition, this skill lets you sabotage simple mechanical devices such as catapults, wagon wheels, and doors. Check. When disarming a trap or other device, the disabled device check is made secretly so that you don't necessarily know whether you've succeeded. The DC depends on how tricky the device is. If the check succeeds, you disable the device. If it fails by 4 or less, you have failed but can try again. If you fail by 5 or more, something goes wrong. If the device is a trap, you trigger it. If you're attempting some sort of sabotage, you think the device is disabled, but it still works normally. You can also rig simple devices, such as saddles or wagon wheels, to work normally for a while, and then fail or fall off sometime later, usually after 1d4 rounds or minutes of use. Device. A simple device takes 1 round with a disable device DC of 10 to deal with. So, for example, like jamming a lock. Device tricky. Time it takes is 1d4 rounds. The disabled device DC is 15. An example would be sabotaging a wagon wheel. Device difficult. 2d4 rounds worth of time. The DC is 20. An example would be disarming a trap or resetting a trap. Device extreme also takes 2d4 rounds. The DC would be 25, and the example would be disarming a complex trap or cleverly sabotaging a clockwork device. If you attempt to leave behind no trace of your tampering, add 5 to the DC. Lock quality. A simple lock has a disabled device DC of 20. An average lock has a DC of 25. A good lock has a DC of 30, and a superior lock has a DC of 40. Open locks. The DC for opening a lock depends on its quality. If you do not have a set of thieves' tools, these DCs increase by 10. Action. The amount of time needed to make a disabled device check depends on the task, as noted above. Disabling a simple device takes 1 round and is a full round action. A tricky or difficult device requires 1d4 or 2d4 rounds. Attempting to open a lock is a full round action. Try again. Varies. You can retry checks made to disable traps if you miss the check by 4 or less. You can retry checks made to open locks. Special. If you have the deft hands feat, you get a bonus on disabled device checks, such as feats. Thank you for the compliment, Jose. Jose? Making sure. Like maybe some groups would pronounce it Jose or Jose. I'm going to assume it's Jose. Let's see. Deft hands feat. A rogue who beats a trap's DC by 10 or more can study the trap, figure out how it works, and bypass it without disarming it. A rogue can rig a trap so her allies can bypass it as well. Restriction. Characters with a trap finding ability, like rogues, can disarm magic traps. A magic trap generally has a DC of 25 plus the level of the spell used to create it. The spells Fire Trap, Glyph of Warding, Symbol. Oh, thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow, Jose. I missed it earlier. Okay, the spells Fire Trap, Glyph of Warding, Symbol, and Teleportation Circle also create traps that a rogue can disarm with a successful disable device check. Spike Growth and Spike Stones, however, create magical hazards which disable device checks do not succeed. See the individual spell description for details. That is disable device. Let us move on. Next is Disguise. So, Disguise. Will it remember? Will it remember? That's really frustrating. I wish it would remember that, like, it needs to be in this corner. I want it to extend out to the right from here. It should. Unless I can, like... Like, I want to lock it to the corner. Oh, well. I'll learn to do that some other time. So we finished that and we're on to Disguise. Disguise, Charisma. You are skilled at changing your appearance. Check. Your disguise check result determines how good the disguise is, and it is opposed by others' perception check results. If you don't draw any attention to yourself, others do not get to make perception checks. If you come to the attention of people who are suspicious, such as a guard who is watching commoners walking through a city gate, it can be assumed that such observers are taking 10 on their perception checks. You get only one disguise check per use of the skill, even if several people make perception checks against it. The disguise check is made secretly, so that you can't be sure how good the result is. Thank you for the follow, Berlin. The effectiveness of your disguise depends on how much you're changing your appearance. Disguise can be used to make yourself appear like a creature that is one size category larger or smaller than your actual size. This does not change your actual size or reach should you enter combat while wearing such a disguise. Disguise. Minor details only. The check modifier is +5. Disguised as a different gender. Also, these modifiers, the next few, like the rest in this chart, are all cumulative. Use all that apply. So disguised as a different gender, check modifier of -2. Disguised as a different race, a check modifier of -2. Disguised as a different age category, it's a -2 to the power of 2. Per step of difference between your actual age category and your disguised age category, the steps are young, as in younger than adulthood, adulthood, middle age, old, and venerable. This is your DM, this is your dream ASMR experience. I was reading Dungeon World before this, but I stopped because I'm going to be a player soon in a game on Saturday, so I need to cram the rules. I have not played Pathfinder 1e before, so this is me being a bad player and reading the rules before the game. But not early enough before the game, I should say. I've made a character and it's been submitted, but I haven't finished reading all the rules. I have played D&D 3.5, which I've heard is very similar, but it's not one-to-one. So I'm going to be reading this on stream, but I'm also going to have to cram off stream to make sure I understand everything before the game itself runs. So it's kind of a, like maybe it shouldn't be a dream. Maybe it should be a very slightly a nightmare. If your disguise has a different size category, it is a -10 check modifier. So familiarity is another table here. So if you are recognized on sight, it's a +4 to the viewer's perception check bonus. If it's friends or associates, it's a +6 on the viewer's perception check bonus. If you are close friends, it is a +8 on the viewer's perception check bonus. If you're intimate, it is a +10 on the viewer's perception check bonus. A player that reads all the rules is a life goal. I don't know if I'm going to get through all the rules in that time frame. I can try. And I have to say, for the last game I've been playing Scion 2nd edition. I'm a bad player. I barely read any rules before we played. I barely read any rules. The TM's been helping us through a lot. Although for Scion 1st edition, I read the book. Not the entire book, but I read all the things that were for player eyes, I should say. Because for Scion, like half the book, I shouldn't say half the book, a chunk of the book is like monster stats and also an introductory scenario for the DM to run. Not that we used it, but there are some game systems that I have read the entire rulebook for, but not all of them that I've played. If you are impersonating a particular individual, those who know what that person looks like get a bonus on their perception checks according to the table below. Furthermore, they are automatically considered to be suspicious of you, so opposed checks are always called for. An individual makes a perception check to see through your disguise immediately upon meeting you, and again every hour thereafter. If you casually meet a large number of different creatures, each for a short time, check once per day or hour using an average perception modifier for the group. Action. Creating a disguise requires 1d3 times 10 minutes of work. Using magic, such as the disguise self spell, reduces this action to the time required to cast the spell or trigger the effect. Try again. Yes. You may try to redo a failed disguise, but once others know that a disguise was attempted, they'll be more suspicious. Special. Magic that alters your form, such as alter self, disguise self, polymorph, or shape change, grants you a +10 bonus on disguise checks. See the individual spell descriptions. Divination magic that allows people to see through the illusions, such as true seeing, does not penetrate a mundane disguise, but it can negate the magical component of a magically enhanced one. Thank you for the follow, Eduardo. You must make a disguise check when you cast a simulacrum spell to determine how good the likeness is. If you have the deceitful feat, you gain a bonus on disguise checks. See feats. Okay, and that is disguise. That's all to disguise. I don't think I'm going to be using this in the game, simply because it is. It's going to be far too short. Far too short. Okay, next is Escape Artist. I think this one's going to come up. Escape Artist. Oh, this cat is making it impossible. Okay, Escape Artist. Do I play any campaigns on stream? I do not actually play any campaigns on stream. I am only actually currently in one campaign, and it is off stream. It is with a group that I play with in real life. Although right now we're meeting due to like the remnants of the plague, we're meeting online. But actually, initially why I wanted to get into this was because I was running a campaign and I wanted to give my players feedback on things, but I did not necessarily want a face cam. So I wanted to give them more feedback than simply my voice, because I want to say, if you're playing online, you don't necessarily want as a DM to be like vocal all the time. You want to give the players time to think for themselves and plot for themselves. But I want them to be able to like look over and see like, she's smiling. She is smiling far too much. Things like that, you know? You lose that in an online voice only game. And also, I think in a text game to some extent. But memories of playing in person with a large group and just hearing the dice roll occasionally from the DM if we were taking too long, or hearing the tap, 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 or just looking over and he's got his head in his hands because we're doing something really incredibly stupid, or, you know, the evil grin because, again, we're doing something incredibly stupid. So I wanted to be able to do something like that. But that campaign has since ended. I was planning on running a one-shot earlier at the very end of summer, but due to something unplanned, it had to be canceled. And due to the nature of the game that I was running, I did not want to run it in anything but summer. So it's held off. Hopefully I'll be able to run it next summer. But in the meantime, I should plan out other things. But first is getting through Saturday. And there's also the issue for campaigns on stream. I want to say I have played multiple campaigns with people, and I want to say I think in the future I would like to play short, like one shots or small campaigns more than longer campaigns. And before I jump into like a 12 or 24 session campaign with a group, I'd like to play a shorter game first, like a one shot, to get a feel for the other players, to make sure that everyone's in agreement on things. I have played games with people who have not necessarily gotten along well. So, and this is even outside considering my own interests in things. Just making sure that the players get along and that everyone is on for the same type of game. It's very important. So I'm more interested in short games than long games. Unless it's a group that I've already played with, in which case usually it's fine. Like, well, the Scion game that I'm playing right now with people that I know in real life. We've played, I want to say, 5 or 6 different campaigns together. Relatively short, different systems. We're doing Scion right now, but we've also done Aegon, and we've done Dungeon World. No, not Dungeon World. We did Worlds Without Number, and we've also done Stars Without Number. And with a different subsection of players, we've done Dread, and D&D 5e, and Scion 1e with most of the players. So we've gone through a couple different systems. A few. Oh, and I suppose we also played 10 Candles together. Dread was wild. Dread was fun. That really only works, I suppose, in person, or maybe in Tabletop Simulator, but in person was very fun. And the same thing with 10 Candles. I've played it in person, and I've played it online, and in person is a lot more fun. It's a lot more fun when the candles are actually burning out. And also actually burning the cards. Added that finality that was useful. Atmospheric. Okay, escape artist. Dex, armor check penalty. Your training allows you to slip out of bonds and escape from grapples. Check. The table below gives the DCs needed to escape various forms of restraints. Ropes. The DC of your escape artist check is equal to the binder's combat maneuver bonus plus 20. Actually, thinking about the players first, as they say, they Like, is that really what they say? Players first? I also want to make sure that the DM is having fun too, because it's really painful if the DM isn't having fun. Like my current DM for the Scion campaign, realized that he does not like working in modern worlds, so he does not like working in modern worlds. Like either sci-fi or fantasy, like not current daytime period. So like the game's going fine, it's just I feel a little bad for him, and we're like, well, the campaign's almost over, like just one more session. Let's see. Check. The table below gives the DCs needed to escape various forms of restraints. Ropes. The DC of your escape artist check is equal to the binder's combat maneuver plus 20. Okay, I already read that one. Oops. Manacles and masterwork manacles. The DC for manacles is set by their construction. See table below. Tight space. The DC noted is for getting through a space through which your head fits, but your shoulders don't. If the space is long, you may need to make multiple checks. You can't squeeze through a space that your head does not fit through. Grappler. You can make an escape check in place of a combat maneuver check to escape a grapple, see combat, or a pin. It was Vampire the Masquerade that helped you about the normal setting? That might be fair. I might say that Vampire and a lot of the others in that same realm are still like more alternate world than Scion is. It's still much more alternate world. But at the same time, I've never played Vampire with this group, so thank you for the headpad. But, well, I want to say we have, in that particular group, 3 people have DM'd. So it's not essentially like if someone wants to play a modern game, someone else could theoretically run it if they want to. It's not limited. There's not a single DM in the group. Restraint, ropes, and bindings. The escape artist DC is the binder's combat maneuver bonus plus 20. A net, animate rope, command plants, control plants, or entangle has an escape artist DC of 20. The snare spell has an escape artist DC of 23. Manacles have an escape artist DC of 30. Tight space has an escape artist DC of 30. Masterwork manacles have an escape artist DC of 35. Grappler has an escape artist DC of the grappler's combat maneuver defense, right? CMD. The combat maneuver bonus, CMB. Combat maneuver defense, right? Okay, it's probably defense. CMD. Oh, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the garden. Action. Making an escape artist check to escape from rope bindings, manacles, or other restraints, except a grappler, requires 1 minute of work. Escaping from a net or an animate rope, command plants, control plants, or entangle spell is a full round action. Escaping from a grapple or pin is a standard action. Squeezing through a tight space takes at least 1 minute, maybe longer, depending on how long the space is. Oh, I have a cat in my arms right now, and he just made the most adorable little jerk, and I think he's actually asleep. I think he's streaming. We might get a meow out of this, because I can feel him twitching, and he might wake up crying. He's right under the mic, though, so hopefully it won't be too loud. Try again. Varies. You can make another check after a failed check if you're squeezing your way through a tight space, making multiple checks. If the situation permits, you can make additional checks, or even take 20, as long as you're not being actively opposed. If the DC to escape from rope or bindings is higher than 20 plus your escape artist skill bonus, you cannot escape from the bonds using escape artist. Special. If you have the stealthy feat, you gain a bonus on escape artist checks. See feats. Okay. And that is the end of escape artist. What is next? Okay, next is fly. Let me change the text again. We are looking at fly. Oh, I missed a letter. Fly. When I make these changes, okay, you can see them in real time, can't you? Yep, you can. You can see my spelling errors. What will be my character for this one? My character is going to be a human rogue. And because it is PvP, it is going to be... I don't know who's listening in here. Who's going to watch the VOD? What if one of the other players sees? So I'm not going to say a whole lot more. Although I did... Oh, he just made little snoring noises. Like stretchy snoring noises. My cat under the microphone. I think he was too quiet. But, so yes, a human rogue. We are not starting at level 1, and we've been given money to use as we see fit, a set amount of money. And I might as well say this because I've already stated it once before, and I can bleep it out in the VOD. My character is going to be lawful evil, a lawful evil human rogue. Because it's a PvP game, so we can do, how to put it, our alignment will matter, but it's not like we need to necessarily get along, or at least we don't have to get along for long periods. So it's going to be, it's acceptable. It's acceptable. And I have played in 3.5 a lawful evil character before, but that was in a... that got the DM stamp of approval because when I played that, the DM suggested a particular character class combination. So that eventually required the character to be lawful evil, or evil of some sort. Or rather, the character had to be not good, I should specify. And the particular prestige class that he suggested essentially, like, okay, how to put this? So, if you've ever played D&D 3.5, there is the class called the True Namer. Do not play it. Do not ever play it. Do not suggest anyone plays it. It is garbage. It is actual garbage. It's a really cool, flavorful thing, but playing it sucks. So I played a True Namer, but it was a Gestalt game, so I played a wizard True Namer. Like, I was building classes. Gestalt means that you, instead of taking one class when you level, you take 2 classes. So I had equal levels in wizard and True Namer. And I took a prestige class, and the prestige class that the GM suggested was Fiendbinder, which technically requires that the character is not good to do so. However, if you read in the Book of Vile Deeds, Fiendbinding, like basically dealing with demons at all, and I don't even want to say a friendly manner, but like basically a Fiendbinder really should be evil. So my character was initially lawful neutral, but by the time it came to Fiendbinding, it became more of a lawful evil. Granted, the rest of the party was not. I want to say the party on average was not good. Distinctly not good. I think 3 out of 5 of us were bad, or evil, or neutral evil of some sort. So it was not a problem. It was not a problem. to be evil. And also because of the kind of flavor of evil it was much more of a like, I am evil because I am consorting with demons and devils. It's not much because of anything else. And I suppose, like, if something attacks us, letting the demons, or the fiends, I should say, letting the fiends um, finish off human enemies, that's not exactly a good thing. But they attacked us first, so no one's gonna have a problem with it, right? Not my demon. So, like, playing the Fiendbinder was fun, especially because, like, the DM was enabling me, but at the same time, uh, the True Namer is not a well built class, so it was difficult, and I required a lot of synergy, and I required so much gold. It was not funny how much gold I needed, and even then, in a Gestalt game where a lot of people were built to be like monsters essentially in combat, I was kind of the cheerleader on the side. Not gonna lie, but that's how the yes, that move is really cool if you get to that point. But I think I only made it to like 10. I think I only made it to level 10. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, but we were in that tier, and yeah, did not get that far. And again, so much money needed to do such things, and time as well. And I had some interesting synergy with a another character because of the ways that I let them basically speed up buffing themselves in combat, but they dropped out after a certain point. So I've found myself being less and less useful with a lot of my Churnamer tricks. That and the Fiendbinder options for binding was a little lackluster. A little lackluster. Okay, fly. The ability fly. So, okay. Oh, noisy. Oh, no, no, no. Don't hit the mic. Don't hit the mic. Don't hit the mic. Don't sleep on the keyboard. No, 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 no. I mean, that is essentially what I was doing. If you've read, there's a guide to the Churnamer. I believe if you just look up Churnamer guide, it's there, and it is something. The title is something like, "In the beginning, there was the word, and the word was suck." It is an extremely accurate guide to Churname playing, and I want to say there were one or two things additional that I noticed that were not included in there, but some of them might just be my particular, I guess, persnicketyness with the rules, with how they're written, which I found a little poor. Yeah, the Churnamer sucks. And that is why I hate the Tome of Magic. I have not read anything else except for the Churnamer portion, but I've read that Churnamer portion many, many times. Many, many times. Trying to figure out things. Trying to understand. And that is also why my knowledge of 3.5 is a bit warped, because I played a really bad class that followed slightly different rules from base, and also Gestalt. So I'm not certain if I would be able to. Well, the rules that I learned were very pinpointed. Okay, fly. Dex, armor check penalty. You are skilled at flying through either the use of wings or magic and can perform daring or complex maneuvers while airborne. Note that this skill does not give you the ability to fly. I do remember flying rules being ridiculous. I wonder if they're just as weird here. Okay, they are. But they don't have anything about, like, perfect maneuverability and stuff, but I guess that would be in the spells. I remember that being an issue. What type of flying do you have? What type of flying? Check. You generally need only make a fly check when you are attempting a complex maneuver. Without making a check, a flying creature can remain flying at the end of its turn so long as it moves a distance greater than half its speed. It can also turn up to 45 degrees by sacrificing 5 feet of movement, can rise at half speed at an angle of 45 degrees, and can descend at any angle at normal speed. Note that these restrictions only apply to movement taken during your current turn. At the beginning of the next turn, you can move in a different direction than you did the previous turn without making a check. Taking any action that violates these rules requires a fly check. The difficulty of these maneuvers varies depending upon the maneuver you are attempting, as noted in the following chart. Yeah, they got weirded out. They got weirded out. It was such a shame. And I was actually rather excited when I saw the fact that they were adding Onomancer as a wizard subclass for 5e. And I don't think the rules were particularly good. And then they dropped it from development. So it was kind of a blessing, I guess. But it's I don't want to say it's a strange concept, but it's a difficult concept. It's a difficult concept to handle. But man, if they had just not made it literally harder as you level up to perform your base tricks, that would have been really helpful as a first step. That would have been really helpful. Again, I played it because the DM suggested it. It seemed fun. And the DM was buffing me as much as possible, giving me freebies. And yet, it still was not enough. Less balance, more fun. So maybe in a more freeform campaign, it would be better suited. And by freeform, I mean a system that isn't quite so strict, perhaps. I'm not sure what that system would be, but I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it's out there. Just have to find it. Flying maneuver. So to move less than half speed and remain flying is a fly DC of 10. To hover is a fly DC of 15. To turn greater than 45 degrees by spending 5 feet of movement is 15. To turn 180 degrees by spending 10 feet of movement is 20. Fly up at greater than a 45 degree angle is a fly DC of 20. Attacked while flying. You are not considered flat-footed while flying. If you are flying using wings and you take damage while flying, you must make a DC 10 fly check to avoid losing 10 feet of altitude. This descent does not provoke an attack of opportunity and does not count against the creature's movement. Collision while flying. If you are using wings to fly and you collide with an object equal to your size or larger, you must immediately make a DC 25 fly check to avoid plummeting to the ground, taking the appropriate falling damage. Avoid falling damage. If you are falling and have the ability to fly, you can make a DC 10 fly check to negate the damage. You cannot make this check if you are falling due to a failed fly check or a collision. I mean, you can... No, you cannot, I want to say a mute true namer, depending on how you are mute, it still works. If it is a silent spell, for instance, according to the rules, you can still actually make the true name. You can still actually attempt to cast through true naming, because it does not matter that you cannot hear your words or your enemies cannot hear your words. The universe can still hear you through the silent spell. You have a not disadvantage technically, but you have a negative. It's more difficult to do so because you cannot hear your own words. So you cannot, if you flub, you can't fix it as easily. Because again, when you true name, you speak like basically a guttural language, the guttural language of the universe. And so whenever you cast, you actually need to pass a true naming check, which is basically not flubbing your words. So, yes, a lot of the time it would be a case of like, okay, I need to make my true name check to not mess up my words. And then I have to make the check to see if it affects the enemy, which kind of sucked. It really sucked. I don't know if you could be actually, you could be dyslexic because you did not need a book or anything to do your casting. You just needed to know the words. You just need to be able to pronounce it. Granted, what you're reading, what you're talking about, the words are supposed to be incredibly long because they are supposed to be. I suppose it's a case of talking about like, okay, this is a true name. I'm trying to make this person or that human over there in fighting armor fly. That's going to be one type of check, and it's going to be rather long. But if you say, I want to make I want to make Casper de Avens be able to fly, that is going to probably be even longer because you're using a personal name. You're using a name that you had to research, and it only applies to one person in the world. So it's actually going to be longer than like Casper de Avens. It would be basically all the attributes needed to indicate that one particular person in the world. So it's more difficult actually to make that sort of check because it's a personal name. And the same thing applies to yourself. Whenever you're talking about yourself as a true namer, it is more difficult because it's a personal name that you're referring to yourself by, a personal true name. But it's also easier for yourself because it's your own personal true name and you've done it so often, it's ingrained. So you have to like add some difficulty to it, but also subtract some difficulty to it. Oh, no, don't hit the mic. Okay. That is simply knowing your own personal true name, which is the bonus because it's like a plus 2 to the difficulty of your true name check because it's a personal name, but it's a -4 because it's your own personal name. Something like that. And there is actually also a true name one of the true name verbalizations, reading, speaks. I don't remember exactly what it is called anymore because it's been over a year since I played that character. There was a special thing that you could pick up, I believe, to rename yourself. You could give yourself a different personal name. And there was also another one for being able to hide your personal name and things like that. So one day I'll do like a true name for dive. One day I'll do a true name or dive. So I can talk about how it actually pans out. maybe I'll just do a rating on the word. The word. I want to say it had like very little overlap with my other Gestalt class in terms of usefulness or like building on each other. However, well, except for maybe I guess boost to caster level, like that was the only real synergy. But I'm really glad that it was Gestalt because otherwise, like being a true namer alone really sucks. Being able to throw out actual spells was a saving grace. It was a saving grace. So I did attack. I did collision. I did avoid falling damage. Next is high speed winds. High wind speeds. High wind speeds. Flying in high winds adds penalties on your fly checks as noted on table wind effects on flight. Checked means that creatures of that size or smaller must succeed on a DC 20 fly check to move at all so long as the wind persists. Blown away means that creatures of that size or smaller must make a DC 25 fly check or be blown back 2d6 times 10 feet and take 2d6 points of non-lethal damage. This check must be made every round this creature remains airborne. A creature that is blown away must still make a DC 20 fly check to move due to also being checked. Table. Wind effects on flight. Wind force. Oh. Stretch? Oh, no. Okay, groom time. Just this. So he's right in front of me and I can smell like wet cat when he grooms himself. Blech. I guess you can also hear him like scratching himself. Oh. Cat ASMR. Table wind effects on flight. A wind force, light. The wind speed is 0 to 10 miles per hour. There is no checked size, there is no blown away size, and there is no fly penalty. For moderate wind force, the wind speed is 11 through 20 miles per hour. There is no checked size, there is no blown away size, and there is no fly penalty. For strong winds, the wind speed is 21 through 30 miles per hour. The checked size is tiny. There is no blown away size, and the fly penalty is -2. Severe wind force has a wind speed of 31 to 50 miles per hour. The checked size is small. The blown away size is tiny, and the fly penalty is -4. A windstorm has a wind speed of 51 through 74 miles per hour. The checked size is medium. The blown away size is small, and the fly penalty is -8. Hurricane wind force has a wind speed of 75 through 174 miles per hour. The checked size is large. The blown away size is medium, and the fly penalty is -12. A tornado wind force has a wind speed of 175 plus miles per hour. The checked size is huge. The blown away size is large, and the fly penalty is -16. Action. None. A fly check doesn't require an action. It is made as part of another action or as a reaction to a situation. Try again. Varies. You can attempt a fly check to perform the same maneuver on subsequent rounds. If you are using wings and you fail a fly check by 5 or more, you plummet to the ground, taking the appropriate falling damage. See environment. Special. A spellcaster with a bat familiar gains a +3 bonus on fly checks. Creatures with a fly speed treat the fly skill as a class skill. A creature with a natural fly speed receives a bonus or penalty on fly skill checks depending on its maneuverability. Clumsy, -8. Poor, -4. Average, +0. Good, +4. perfect, +8. Creatures without a listed maneuverability rating are assumed to have average maneuverability. So they still do have maneuverability. Okay. I remember that being one of the neat sticking points of the True Namer. Like being able to eventually get perfect flight. Eventually. All good things come to those who wait. It just takes a really, really long time. A creature larger or smaller than medium takes a size bonus or penalty on fly checks depending on its size category. Fine, +8. Diminutive, +6. Tiny, +4. Small, +2. Large, -2. Huge, -4. Gargantuan, -6. And colossal, -8. It's a shame that it doesn't animate. I wonder if I can change that when they pass by, like on the big screen. You cannot take ranks in this scale without a natural means of flight or gliding. Creatures can also take ranks in fly if they possess a reliable means of flying every day, either through a spell or other special ability. So many words for big. Different types of big, though. Different types of big. If you have the acrobatic feat, you get a bonus on fly checks. See feats. Okay. After fly is Hansel Animal. Cat. Hansel Animal, charisma, trained only. You are trained at working with animals and can teach them tricks, get them to follow your simple commands, or even domesticate them. Check. The DC depends on what you are trying to do. Task. Handle an animal. Handle animal DC is 10. Task. Push an animal. Handle animal DC is 25. Teach an animal a trick. A DC of 15 or 20. See specific trick or purpose below. Just thinking, like, all the different words for big. And the definition changes between variants, too. But I mean, like, thinking about it, like a gargantuan creature versus a large creature. One of them really is magnitudes of size larger, isn't it? Like, would you describe a cow as gargantuan versus like an elephant or a whale? Most whales, I should say, like, Okay, he settled back down. I don't know if you just heard that. That was something popping. Okay. Train an animal for a general purpose, 15 or 20. Again, see the specific trick or purpose below. Rear a wild animal, DC of 15 plus the hit die of the animal. Handle an animal. This task involves commanding an animal to perform a task or trick that it knows. If the animal is wounded or has taken any non-lethal damage or ability score damage, the DC increases by 2. If the check succeeds, the animal performs the task or trick on its next action. Yeah, there's no way this cat, I have no handle animal. I have no handle animal skills. This cat does what he wants. Except for sometimes the cuddle trick. Cuddling is a trick, right? Cuddling is a trick. No cuddle. Chattest of cats. I don't know about that. He is not a chat cat. Every time, actually, my parents have taken care of him a few times, and they cannot get it out of their head that he's a girl. Like, I've told them multiple times. His name is Ziggy. But no, he's a girl cat. He's got the cutest meows, too. He's definitely like the most feminine meowing of the cats. It's kind of weird to like dictate, like, yes, this is a masculine meow, this is a feminine meow. But he's got a girlish cry. And it's not like he's a calico or something like that, where I could understand if there was confusion over him being female in that case, since calicos are like 99% female. No, he's not a calico. Different types of meows. Like, there are different types, and then there's just like the vocal quality of the cat, too. There's the vocal quality of the cat. I've noticed it seems that when the cats get older, it gets a bit rougher. But I don't have any modern day recordings of his cries, and he's a bit difficult to get a capture of for meowing. But I have one of Contessa. The voice is a musical instrument, you know? The voice is a musical instrument, even if it's human or elf. And cats often sing the songs of their people to us, don't they? The voice is a musical instrument. There's different vocal qualities. And he is, I want to say, like, I can understand also if it was a case of if I had gotten him neutered early, but I got him neutered when he was like 6 months old, which is not like the oldest for a cat, obviously, but well past the kitten stage, more so in like the young adult stage. And he still has that girlish cry. But I would think that like by that stage, he would have grown into like a bigger voice. Mm. Mm. So, to push an animal. To push an animal means to get it to perform a task or trick that it doesn't know but is physically capable of performing. This category also covers making an animal perform a forced march or forcing it to hustle for more than 1 hour between sleep cycles. If the animal is wounded or has taken any non-lethal damage or ability score damage, the DC increases by 2. Just looked up the deepest meow a cat can have. You've got to share that. You've got to share. I might not be able to do it on stream because it's ASMR, but like, I want to know. Is it an audio file, like a video, or is it like a decibel rating? I don't have any sort of sense of sound when it comes to that. I have no sense of sound when it comes to that. What? It's on YouTube? Okay. I'll have to keep that in mind. I'll have to make a note. I would write a note, except cat. Oh, I'm not doing fly anymore. I'm not doing fly anymore. Okay, we are doing handle animal. Animal. No. Bunk. Okay. If the animal is wounded or has taken any non-lethal damage or ability score damage, the DC increases by 2. If your check succeeds, the animal performs the trick on its next action. Okay, I think I read that before. Teach an animal a trick. You can teach an animal a specific trick with 1 week of work and a successful handle animal check against the indicated DC. An animal with an intelligence score of 1 can learn a maximum of 3 tricks, while an animal with an intelligence score of 2 can learn a maximum of 6 tricks. Possible tricks and their associated DCs include, but are not necessarily limited to, the following. Attack, DC 20. The animal attacks apparent enemies. You may point to a particular creature that you wish the animal to attack, and it will comply if able. Normally, an animal will attack only humanoids, monstrous humanoids, giants, or other animals. Teaching an animal to attack all creatures, including such unnatural creatures as undead and aberration, count as 2 tricks. Thinking about that. DC 15. The animal comes to you, even if it normally would not do so. Okay, so I think this cat in my arms, knows that trick. He knows to come. He will come when beckons, and I don't even need any food. I need a friendly hand out to him. Defend, DC 20. The animal defends you, or is ready to defend you if no threat is present, even without any commands being given. Alternatively, you can command the animal to defend another specific character. I want to say, maybe he knows that too, but I've only seen it in action once. Normally he's very much a scaredy cat. But once, late at night, I heard a noise that I could not place outside my home, and I thought it was perhaps someone in my garden or someone maybe even attempting to break in. So I went and I hid, and my cat, this cat right here in my arms, growled, and ended up going down into the lower level of the home. I don't know what he was doing in that time frame, but the fact that he had growled, I had never heard him growl at nothing like that before. And then going off possibly to the site of whatever the noise was, it was both reassuring and also like absolutely worrisome because I'd never seen him act like that before. And the fact that he was reacting to it as well, it made me think that there was actually an issue. Thank you for the follow, Caroline the cat. We're talking about my cat right now. Sorry. In context of handle animal. So it's kind of there's like a 25% chance my cat knows defend. 25% chance, I'll give him that. Normally he's much more on the hiding type. But I also did not see him come back that night until the morning. I had to go find him when it was daylight so we can go to sleep together. Down, DC 15. The animal breaks off from combat or otherwise backs down. An animal that doesn't know this trick continues to fight until it must flee due to injury, a fear effect, or the like, or its opponent is defeated. Fetch, DC 15. The animal goes and gets something. If you do not point out a specific item, the animal fetches a random object. Have a good night, Berlin. Sleep well. Or have a good day, depending on where you are. Guard, DC 20. The animal stays in place and prevents others from approaching. Yeah, you have 2 cats? I have 3, but only ever 2 are an issue on stream. And mostly it's just this one who's currently in my arms. I want to say, like, the weirdest noises have probably been him, like, bonking the mic. The mic is above him, actually. So, and also I think the worst thing has been him. So he is on my desk between me and the keyboard, and he's actually taking me off to a different scene, unplanned, which is quite dangerous when you think about it. But otherwise, like, he just wants to cuddle for the most part. And there was that one time he got a little bitey and scratchy, but he settled back down. He's mostly a good boy. And he has actually been here for the entirety of the stream. Thank you for the head pat. He came up while I was preparing the stream, and he has not left my desk since then. And my arm is actually starting to get really tired. But I must cuddle. I must cuddle. He is in a cuddly mood, so I must cuddle. Like, who's the master in this relationship here, huh? Who's the master? Now that I think about it, though, it's also past the cat's dinner time. So I'm surprised he's being so good right now. Okay, let's see. So we got Fetch. Guard, DC of 20. The animal stays in place and prevents others from approaching. Heal, DC of 15. The animal follows you closely, even to places where it normally wouldn't go. Perform, DC 15. The animal performs a variety of simple tricks, such as sitting up, rolling over, roaring, or barking, and so on. Seek, DC 15. The animal moves into an area and looks around for anything that is obviously alive or animate. Stay, DC 15. The animal stays in place, waiting for you to return. It does not challenge other creatures that come by, though it still defends itself if it needs to. Track, DC 20. The animal tracks the scent presented to it. This requires the animal to have the scent ability. Work, DC 15. The animal pulls or pushes a medium or heavy load. Train an animal for a general purpose. Rather than teaching an animal individual tricks, you can simply train it for a general purpose. Essentially, an animal's purpose represents a pre-selected set of known tricks that fit into a common scheme, such as guarding or heavy labor. The animal must meet all the normal prereqs for all tricks included in the training package. If the package includes more than 3 tricks, the animal must have an intelligence score of 2 or higher. Oh, snoozy boy. An animal can be trained for only one general purpose, though if the creature is capable of learning additional tricks above and beyond those included in its general purpose, it may do so. Training an animal for a purpose requires fewer checks than teaching individual tricks does, but no less time. Combat training, DC 20. An animal trained to bear a rider into combat knows the tricks attack, come, defend, down, guard, and heal. Training an animal for combat riding takes 6 weeks. You may also upgrade an animal trained for riding to one trained for combat by spending 3 weeks and making a successful DC 20 handle animal check. The new general purpose and tricks completely replace the animal's previous purpose and any tricks it once knew. Many horses and riding dogs are trained in this way. Fighting, DC 20. An animal trained to engage in combat knows the tricks attack, down, and stay. Training an animal for fighting takes 3 weeks. Guarding, DC 20. An animal trained to guard knows the tricks attack, defend, down, and guard. Training an animal for guarding takes 4 weeks. Heavy labor, DC 15. An animal trained for heavy labor knows the tricks come and work. Training an animal for heavy labor takes 2 weeks. Hunting, DC 20. An animal trained for hunting knows the tricks attack, down, fetch, heal, seek, and track. Training an animal for hunting takes 6 weeks. Performance, DC 15. An animal trained for performance knows the tricks come, fetch, heal, perform, and stay. Training an animal for performance takes 5 weeks. Riding, DC 15. An animal trained to bear a rider knows the tricks come, heal, and stay. Training an animal for riding takes 3 weeks. Let's see. Rear a wild animal. To rear an animal means to raise a wild creature from infancy so that it becomes domesticated. A handler can rear as many as 3 creatures of the same kind at once. A successfully domesticated animal can be taught tricks at the same time it's being raised, or it can be taught as a domesticated animal later. Action varies. Handling an animal is a move action. while pushing an animal is a full round action. A druid or ranger can handle an animal companion as a free action or push it as a move action. For tasks with specific time frames noted above, you must spend half this time, at the rate of 3 hours per day per animal being handled, working towards completion of the task before you attempt the handle animal check. If the check fails, your attempt to teach, rear, or train the animal fails and you need not complete the teaching, rearing, or training time. If the check succeeds, you must invest the remainder of the time to complete the teaching, rearing, or training. If the time is interrupted or the task is not followed through to completion, the attempt to teach, rear, or train the animal automatically fails. Try again. Yes, except for rearing an animal. Special. You can use the skill on a creature with an intelligence score of 1 or 2 that is not an animal, but the DC of any such checks increases by 5. Such creatures have the same limit on tricks known as animals do. A druid or ranger gains a +4 circumstance bonus on handle animal checks involving an animal companion. In addition, a druid's or ranger's animal companion knows 1 or more bonus tricks, which don't count against the normal limit on tricks known and don't require any training time or handle animal checks to teach. Okay. If you have the animal affinity feat, you get a bonus on handle animal checks. See feats. Untrained. If you have 0 ranks in animal handle animal, you can use a charisma check to handle and push domestic animals, but you can't teach, rear, or train animals. A druid or ranger with no ranks in a handle animal can use a charisma check to handle and push her animal companion, but she can't teach, rear, or train other non-domestic animals. Okay. Wow. Cat. Wow. No. He is flopping his tail like he just doesn't care. Okay. What is after that? Heal is next. How many are left? I have made my way through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've made my way through 11, and there are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There are 24 more to go. I don't know why I thought this would be short. Skills are not short. Skills are quite the chunk of book, I suppose. Okay. Let me check something. Wow. This was not the intent. Actually, I might call it here before heal. Let me see. Where is it? Is there anyone else doing any reading right now? Is there anyone doing any reading before I move on? Like, I might read one more. I will have to check. Because there are a few things that I have to do that are within. I don't exactly want to call it daywalker time, but closer to daywalker time. Let's see. Is there anyone else reading? Daywalker? Daywalker. I'm awake during the night, so my things are a bit shifted for me. So why shouldn't I call people who are awake during the day daywalkers? What's a better name for them? What is a better name for them? We will do heal. We will do human stuff. Human stuff. Yes, but not everyone who's awake during the day is a human. There can be elves too. I'm just a little bit of an outlier being a night bloomer. Daywalker is more like, sure, there's the implication that you have to be walking to be a daywalker, but I think it wouldn't be so offensive to be called a daywalker. Okay, I'm going to go through heal. After that, it's going to be the end. I'm going to pass you off to someone else who's doing ASMR after this. After heal. Okay, let me change this to heal. Heal. Actually, that reminds me, I'm wondering about the word. It's like crepuscular, right? For someone who is more of a twilight person. Crepuscular? Crepuscular. I think it's crepuscular. Is that how it's pronounced? Yeah. Crepuscular animal. Okay. So, that is for an animal that is active during twilight as opposed to diurnal or nocturnal. Oh, that was a cute little noise. That was really cute, buddy. That was really cute. He's up and it's kind of, is he going to bonk his head? Is he going to bonk his head? You gotta rewatch those movies? What movies? Are you talking about like a zombie movie about daywalkers or something? I'm not certain. Or is there a movie called Daywalker? I don't know. My knowledge of movies is a bit limited. Blade. Oh, Twilight. Okay. I've never seen Twilight myself. I was. I know some people who were interested in it, or like really interested in it. The kind of people who were part of like one of the two camps. But, oh no, 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 no. A little bit move to the side. There we go. Flop back over. Flop back over. I don't think I've seen Blade either, or at least not in its entirety. Maybe some scant bits here and there. I haven't really watched too many vampire movies. I mean, I've seen, I think, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I've seen Underworld, and I think I saw that one action movie, Helsing, what's it called? But I never saw Twilight, and I never saw Blade. Heal, wisdom. You are skilled at tending to wounds and ailments. Check. The DC and effect of a heal check depend on the task you attempt. Task, first aid, DC of 15. Long-term care, DC of 15. Treat wounds from caltrops, spike growth, or spike stones is a DC of 15. Treat deadly wounds is a DC of 20. Treat poison, the poison save DC. Treat disease is the disease's save DC. First aid. You usually use first aid to save a dying character. If a character has negative hit points and is losing hit points at the rate of 1 per round, 1 per hour, or 1 per day, you can make him stable. A stable character regains no hit points, but stops losing them. First aid also stops a character from losing hit points due to effects that cause bleed. See conditions for rules on bleed damage. Long-term care. Providing long-term care means treating a wounded person for a day or more. If your heal check is successful, the patient recovers hit points or ability score points lost to ability damage at twice the normal rate. 2 hit points per level for a full 8 hours of rest in a day, or 4 hit points per level for each full day of rest complete rest. complete rest. 2 ability score points for a full 8 hours of rest in a day, or 4 ability score points for each full day of complete rest. You can tend to as many as 6 patients at a time. You need a few items and supplies, bandages, salves, and so on, that are easy to come by in a settled lands. Giving long-term care counts as light activity for the healer. You cannot give long-term care to yourself. Treat wounds from caltrops, spike growth, or spike stones. A creature wounded by stepping on a caltrop moves at half normal speed. A successful heal check removes this penalty. A creature wounded by spike growth or spike stones must succeed on a reflex save or take injuries that reduces speed by 1/3. Another character can remove this penalty by taking 10 minutes to dress the victim's injuries and succeeding on a heal check against the spell's save DC. Treat deadly wounds. When treating deadly wounds, you can restore hit points to a damaged creature. Treating deadly wounds restores 1 hit point per level of the creature. If you exceed the DC by 5 or more, add your wisdom modifier, if positive, to this amount. A creature can only benefit from its deadly wounds being treated within 24 hours of being injured, and never more than once per day. You must expend 2 uses from a healer's kit to perform this task. You take a -2 penalty on your heal skill check for each use from the healer's kit that you lack. Treat poison. To treat poison means to tend to a single character who has been poisoned and who is going to take more damage from the poison, or suffer some other effect. Every time the poisoned character makes a saving throw against the poison, you make a heal check. If your heal check exceeds the DC of the poison, the character receives a +4 competence bonus on his saving throw against the poison. Treat disease. To treat a disease means to tend to a single diseased character. Every time the diseased character makes a saving throw against disease effects, you make a heal check. If your heal check exceeds the DC of the disease, you cannot block it. The character receives a +4 competence bonus on his saving throw against the disease. Action. Provide first aid. Treating a wound or treating poison is a standard action. Treating a disease or tending a creature wounded by a spike growth or spike stone spell takes 10 minutes of work. Treating deadly wounds takes 1 hour of work. Providing long-term care requires 8 hours of light activity. Try again. Varies. Generally speaking, you can't try a heal check again without witnessing proof of the original check's failure. You can always retry a check to provide first aid, assuming the target of the previous attempt is still active. Alive, not active, still alive. Special. A character with a self-sufficient feat gets a bonus on heal checks. See feats. A healer's kit gives you a +2 circumstance bonus on heal checks. I don't know if you heard that little noise, the flump. The cat has decided it is no more time for cuddle. So, you're probably going to hear him soon. But that is going to be the end of it. We have done 12, and we have 23 left. We have 23 skills left. That's a lot of skills. Okay. So this is the end for tonight, but I'm going to continue this on Tuesday. I'm going to try and get through as much as possible. I think I will continue with skills. on Tuesday reading. Tuesday is tabletop for me. However, this is tabletop ASMR reading, and it's in preparation for this upcoming Saturday event. So that is what it's going to be. And normally I also do something on Wednesday, but I will have to figure out what to do. I was playing on Saturday last night, Hatoful Boyfriend, but I might spend Wednesday doing more preparation for Saturday's game. I will have to see. So, A lot of preparation for Saturday is in my future. Okay, who is doing ASMR? Who is doing ASMR? Who should I pass you off to? Who should I pass you off to? Oh, I know this person. We're going to read, I think, into. Oh, there's someone crying. Can you hear him? Muffled in the distance. Meow, meow, meow. I'm going to cry some more. Are you going to cry some more for me? Come on, cry a little bit more. Yeah? Cry. Cry, cry, cry. I hope that was caught because otherwise I don't have any recordings of him not as a kitten really crying. Hi. Mm. All you hear is meow. Well, that is him. That is my boy cat with his girlish cries. Mm. So, Eric, Eric Sena, I recognize the model because I remember watching her mother, art mother, work on the design. So we're going to move on over to her in a minute. Our mother is Lithia Faye. So again, on Tuesday I'm going to be continuing the ASMR readings of Pathfinder, and on Wednesday it will probably be preparation for Saturday, where I do not think I will be streaming on my own, but I will be hosting on my channel through the host function if it still works. And I will be playing on Dr. Conrad's channel in his in his Pathfinder or PvP Havoc Festival. And Sunday will probably be back to ASMR. So a bit more heavy on the reading again. But that's fine. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I hope you keep well in these chilly